Councilor Dela Cruz. Councilor Payano.
Present.
Councilor Estela Reyes.
Present.
Councilor Giovanni Rodriguez. Absent. Councilor Gregory Del Rosario. Councilor Selena Reyes.
Present.
Councilor Stephanie Infante. Council President LaPlante.
Present. We have a quorum. I will ask everyone to rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. We have two sets of minutes for approval. I'll take them individually. Looking for motion to approve the council minutes for September 2nd.
So move.
Motion made by the Council Vice President, seconded by Selena Reyes. Discussion. Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Infante? Yes. Councilor
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario?
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez? Absent. Council Vice President Estela Reyes?
Yes.
Councilor Payano?
Yes.
Councilor Dela Cruz? Councilor Levy?
Yes.
Council President LaPlante?
Yes. I am now looking for a motion to approve the minutes from September 14th. Is there a motion?
So move.
Motion made by the Vice President, seconded by Councilor Levy. Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Levy? Yes. Councilor Dela Cruz?
Yes.
Councilor Payano?
Yes.
Councilor Estela Reyes?
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez? Absent. Councilor Del Rosario? Yes. Councilor Selena Reyes?
Yes.
Councilor Infante? Council President LaPlante?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. At this point, we will go to public hearings. The only public hearing we have this evening is for document 112. I'm sorry, the clerk is 100% correct. Everybody wants their public participation. We'll go right to that. Right now is public participation. We have a list in front of us here. 2.5 minutes to give your comments. We have no bell, but we'll find one soon. A bell will be rung in about 2 minutes, a buzzer of some sort. That will be the key to finish your comments. Please address the chair or not any individual members of the City Council. The first person that we have this evening is Suzanne Silverius. Your name and address, please, for the record.
Sure. Suzanne Salaveras, 7 Little River Road, Kingston, New Hampshire. Dear members of the Lawrence City Council, my name is Suzanne Salaveras, and I am the president of the Lawrence Federation of Paraprofessionals. The council will be discussing the negotiations between Lawrence Public Schools and our union. I want you to know a couple things to help you in the discussion. Our members are primarily from our community, who are mainly women and people of color. Our pay scale is from $14 to $22. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology Living Wage Calculator says a single person with no children living in Essex County needs to make at least $23 an hour to earn a living wage. If management agreed to our recent proposal, the AFT has said it would cost a little more than $7 million. I know that sounds a lot of money, but in normal times it would be. However, Lawrence Public Schools has unclaimed over $60 million from the COVID relief. There are also permanent increases to Chapter 60 to the tune of $20 million a year for 7 years as part of the Student Opportunity Act. This is over $100 million in total revenue for Lawrence Public Schools. Tonight, you will be taking up a bond discussion to spend an additional $20 million on the new Oliver School. I just want to make it clear that we are in total support of this. However, just let these numbers sink in. The school has the resources to help lift our 400 members, many of whom are constituents out of poverty. Instead, they are saying no to us and demanding more money out of all of you. We need you to support us. We need you to support us as we fight for a living wage. So please call on Jeff Riley to get this deal done now. Please help us get the contract our students, our families, and our workers deserve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker. To make this meeting run a little more smoothly and to obey our city council rules, we just ask if you would just withdraw from any kind of overt clapping, whistles, blowing, snap, whatever, just so we can continue on with the meeting. The next speaker is Mr. Mali.
Humayun Mali, 53 Chester Street. Good evening, honorable members. In this important election year, we the citizen asking with one voice, contract for Lawrence Public School paraprofessional. Why Lawrence Public School with a budget of $230 million, making millions for the building new schools, or poor, suffering staff from the low wages? We must offer the best compensation for Lawrence Public School paraprofessional. We demand of you and Honorable Mayor Brian DePena contract for Lawrence Police now. Lawrence Police Department with the impeccable leadership by Honorable Chief Roy Vask has done excellent job to protect our city. We are proud to protect or support Lawrence Police Union. Contract for Lawrence Police now. Tonight in our great city, we have an emergency. Our employees of the Lawrence Public School suffering from enormous injustice. We, the 83,000 citizens with one voice, demand the best contract for Lawrence Public School paraprofessional. We stand united with these great union members, these great citizens who vote for you in this emergency. They need our support. We stand up in unity, where the great citizen is strong and united, the best contract for the best hard-working paraprofessional citizen. Our paraprofessional work employees of the Lawrence Public School, they are backbone of the Lawrence Public School. If we need to go to the commissioner rally, we need go. They must know in this tonight, in this city hall, they are not alone. 83,000 citizens, Laurentian, behind you, is strong and united, and we fight for you to get the best contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mali. The next speaker is Dick Russell.
Good evening, councilors. My name is Dick Russell. I got a frog in my throat, so I apologize. I reside 34 Cross Street, the city. First, it was good to see several of you at the mayor's press conference this morning at Manchester Street Park regarding the plans for the rail trail. Next, several inquiring minds types of questions. First question, was the individual mentioned in agenda item 33922 nominated for his professional skills or because of his political who you know? Second, will the public be able to obtain a copy of the recommendations for salary increases for the mayor and city council? Is this report going to remain private until after the fact, or will the taxpayers get a chance to look at it and input their 2 cents? The way the city is spending taxpayers' money, it may be the taxpayers' last 2 cents. Question remains to be answered. How will the city be able to afford these possible raises in view of all the stipends totaling about $227,000 that have been handed out, in my humble opinion, that appear to circumvent various budget constraints? Oh well, not my worry. Lastly, everyone knows I'm constantly on the internet Googling anything and everything. The other day I was looking for something and I discovered one of those publicly created holidays like Black Labrador Dog, Grandson Day, you know, that type of stuff. I discovered one publicly created holiday, Elected Officials Day, May 19th. So a belated elected officials happy holiday. But I also found out what I was out there for. I was looking to see which U.S. president made October 4th the unofficial National CB Radio Day. It was Jimmy Carter. He did it in 1978. So I want to wish everyone happy CB Radio Day, and in my finest Broderick Crawford voice, I want to say 10-4. Thank you for the time.
The next speaker is Mike Bresnahan. Before I get there, clerk, will you please call the roll for Councilor Rodriguez?
Councilor Rodriguez? Present. Noted. Thank you.
When you're ready. Mr. Bresnahan, go ahead. You got.
Yeah, Mike Bresnahan, 144 Berkeley Street, Lawrence, Mass. I want to talk about two things, the receivership and the bread and roses spirit. The state receivership at this stage of the game is an ugly example of systemic racism. It says the people of Lawrence are incapable of running their own school system. I also want to talk about the bread and roses spirit. The poverty wages that our paraprofessionals are paid are obscene. We have women, mostly women, who are working 2.5 jobs just to feed their children. At the receivership board, there was one of the receivers weeping after a woman who had worked in the system for 20 years said she only had $3 in her bank account after getting paid and couldn't give her son a birthday present. Now the bread and roses spirit. In 1912, women walked out of the Pacific Mills plant to strike a blow against oppression and exploitation. We have that bread and roses spirit in our union. And if it comes to it, we will strike a blow against exploitation and oppression if the time comes. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we get going, the individual with the sign, please keep the sign down inside the city council chambers. The next speaker is Lennon Roa, school committee member. Mr. Roa.
Thank you. Good evening. My presence here today is to allow you guys to understand and know a little bit more about what's going on with the committee to help the people affected by the Hurricane Fiona in Dominican Republic. We have a committee here in the city, and the address for, well, first of all, the committee is here to collect donations to send over to Dominican Republic to people in need. It's located at 85 Manchester Street. I have the signs in Spanish and in English here with me, and I will make it possible for the city hall to have this information as of tomorrow with them, so that they can post it in posters here in the city with the permission of the mayor, of course. There is food items, canned food items, school supplies, kids supply, medicine, and other things that can be donated, along with funds for this project. Also, monetary funds can be donated to this. So I wanted you guys to have this available to you. You can go to my page on Facebook and see the information is posted everywhere in Spanish and in English. I have posted it both ways tonight, so you guys will be able to have it, so you can grab it and post it on your Facebook if you guys allow us to do that. So that's it for that. If you guys have any questions, you have my number. You can contact me, and I can relay any information that you guys may need in order to help us do the best job possible. Right? Thank you.
Thank you very much, school committee member. Next speaker is Lynette Rodriguez.
Good evening, and thank you for your attention. My name is Lynette Rodriguez from 56 Hobson Street. I am a Lawrence resident, a homeowner, a parent of a student who attends Lawrence Public Schools, and also an employee for the Lawrence Public Schools. I am here to seek your support for a living wage for all of our school clerks, administrative staff, and paraprofessionals. Our members make Lawrence Public Schools work. We check in students on a day-to-day basis, build rapport with our families. I myself walk more than 10,000 steps a day just to support our teachers and students
so that everything in the school can run smoothly. It is unacceptable that the Lawrence Public Schools does not pay our support staff a living wage. It's even more unacceptable when we know that the communities around us are able to pay their workers a living wage. To give paras and support staff a living wage, it would only be $7 million compared to the $20 million requested for a single school project. Our salaries are important to not only me, but also to our schools, our communities, and our children's upbringing. We ask for your support. We ask that you support your workers, your constituents, your families in the Lawrence Public Schools by standing up with us, pass the living wage resolution, and demand Commissioner Jeff Riley to give us a living wage. Please help us with this fight. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is, starts with a P. P-E-K, Pekarovich?
Pekarovich. Thank you, sir. Hi, good evening. I approach with respect.
Your name and address, please, for the
Thank you,
record.
sir. That's what I was getting to. Mason Pekarovich and 100 Mass Mills Drive, apartment 0. Okay. I am a paraprofessional with Lawrence Public Schools. I have worked as a para at 9th grade academy in the high school for this is my 4th year. I've been at the high school since it's started its own ILP program for students with autism to go to all-inclusive gen ed classes with the support of myself. How have negotiations been? Negotiations have been awful, dehumanizing and demoralizing are 2 words that I have to sum it up. First of all, to hear from a lawyer who doesn't recognize the difference between making, for example, $20 versus $22 an hour, the difference for a person making that kind of money to have a $2 increase off the bat, for a lawyer representing our administration to not recognize the significance of that, I think really points out how far that lawyer is going to get you. I come here to ask for your support. I come here after a day of not doing well at all. I forgot to take my medication, and I did well, given that I didn't take my meds, but it's been one heck of a day, I'll say. I've been on and off crying since I got here, since I got here, but I'm here. I am here to ask for your support as we continue to fight to negotiate a fair contract for myself and the other paraprofessionals and any other staff that fall under the paraprofessional contract for Lawrence Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is a Moray, and it starts with an X. Xangre, help me with the pronunciation. Moray? Thank you. If you wouldn't mind properly pronouncing your name for the rest of us and your address, please, for the record.
Before I give my name and address and the time starts, I would like to first give the pronunciation on my name, More Sangre. Thank you. I have listed 357 Pawtucket Street in Lowell, Massachusetts. However, I am from 64 Kent Street, Lawrence, Massachusetts. Okay. I am here today because I was invited along with my fellow paraprofessionals. I love what I do. This is my 6th year working as a paraprofessional. As you can see, it's hard for me to communicate what I'm so passionately care about. My kids, all these kids from Lawrence, I do what I do because I see myself in them. And I'm very good at what I do. Okay? In order for my kids to succeed, they need the right support. And if you don't take care of the support, there is no way they're going to succeed. I would like to start off real quick by giving you a little passage from Jesus Colon, from How to Know the Puerto Rican People. To deserve a people's love, you must know them. You must learn to appreciate their history, their culture, their values, their aspirations for human advancement and freedom. I need you to understand something. I'm teaching my kids their history. History tends to repeat itself. You need to figure out whether you want to be on the right side of history or on the wrong side of history. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker is Lisa Miller Gillespie.
I'd like to start by saying good evening to the counselors, the Lawrence City Councilors. My name is Lisa Miller Gillespie. I live at 6 Vernay Street in Methuen. I have taught theater and dance to the children in the public schools here in Lawrence for many years. And as I have stepped out of that, I am co-founder and president of a new nonprofit here called the Lawrence Festival of the Arts, the goal of which is to bring local artists together in celebrating the arts, uplifting artists in this community, and breaking down the silos in which they perform. This was the first goal of 2 that are set before me and my team. The second one is in regard to item number 324/22. Our goal is to create a performing arts and arts education center here in the city of Lawrence. We need to have a place where artists feel validated by their creativity and their artistry. We want a place where members of the community can come and dress up, see a play, see a musician, hear a musical group perform. And more than that, we need a place where our children are able to learn from the arts. This is a thing that most people think is non-important. As we see in many of our schools, it is not an availability. It's not a topic that they touch on, or there's very little availability to them. The issue is, without the arts and having a place where our children can learn and participate in the arts, they are missing out on creativity, cultural awareness, improved academic performance, increased motor skills, visual learning, problem solving, decision making, perseverance, collaboration, and accountability. I can speak specifically to the improved academic performance. As an actor, I know and I have seen how learning a character and speaking the words of a character helps children not only with their reading, with their confidence in speaking, and with their learning of words, learning the definition of words and how to use them. Thank you.
That's fine. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. The last speaker this evening is Genevieve H-O-G-G-S. Help me, please, again with the pronunciation and your address.
No problem. Good evening, members of the City Council. Thank you so much for having me here. My name is Janethia Hogues. I am a Lawrence Public Schools music teacher. I reside at 200 Leisure Lane, apartment 109 in Stoneham. I teach currently at the Arlington Elementary School, where I am building a music program in its second year. And I am here to speak on behalf of the importance of having an arts academy and a performing arts and visual arts space here in the city. This is my 8th year teaching in Lawrence. I've taught at public schools, charter schools, Catholic schools, everything from kindergarten to 12th grade. And one of the things that I am working on this year is to build a citywide youth choir, because even though I know a lot of people who teach at a lot of these schools, most of the children do not have access to music education. We currently have 3 middle schools in the entire Lawrence Public Schools with music teachers, and that's an improvement on last year. One of the other things I am working on is building a music education internship at my school, because most of the, I'll just be upfront, I'm the only person of color who is a music teacher in Lawrence Public Schools. And there are not many people who teach in Lawrence in music, in the arts in general, who are from Lawrence. And a huge part of that is because the arts education that is accessible to all of our children is very low. There are some schools that have visual art, dance, theater, and music. There are some schools that have none of the above. And that is a matter of inequity for our city as a whole. And so having an arts academy here in the city where local artists, local musicians, local performers can teach the kids in their community, can perform their own productions, can present their visual artwork, where private lessons do not cost $70 an hour. That is the low end of the going rate for a private lesson for 1 hour. I cannot afford that. My voice teacher gives me a discount, and I only have to pay $50 an hour. And I can only afford to do that twice a month. And I am a full-time teacher. So I don't know how a family is expected to provide that for their children. But if we had an arts academy at St. Anne's, at any location in the city, if we had performance venues where people don't have to drive to Andover or Methuen just to have a dance recital or a music concert, that would make a huge difference in our community. And it is vital to life. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and that concludes our public participation. Name, addresses, and topics are being submitted to the city clerk for inclusion in our permanent record. At this point, I do want to take a little bit of housekeeping. I've been asked, and I acknowledge that I would do this. ADA Coordinator Richard Rodriguez wanted me to make sure that all of us are aware that October is Disabilities Awareness Month. The Lawrence Commission on Disability is inviting all of us to join in the celebration of the greater Lawrence disabled community. Mayor DePena and Mr. Rodriguez encouraged us to attend a meet and greet on October the 20th of 2022 between 3 and 5 p.m. at the formerly the Senior Center or the Center. They're looking to bring together our community for networking and discussions about the services available to people with disabilities. They're also planning on recognizing and thanking all the service providers for their contributions to our communities. Councilors, I have all of these documentations here. Feel free, Mr. Rodriguez wanted me to encourage you all to put this on your social media, get the word out if you can for this month. So thank you so much for your attention on that. At this point, we're going to go to the first item on our document, which is public hearings. The first public hearing is document number 1, and only hearing is document 11221. Clerk, would you please read the public hearing notice?
Document number 11221 is the acceptance of Diamond Street as a public way presented by Liza St. Onge, the project manager. The public notice reads, notice is hereby given that the Lawrence City Council will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, October 4th at 7 p.m. at a public meeting at the meeting of the Lawrence City Council in the City Council Chambers, 200 Common Street, Lawrence, Mass. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2022, this meeting will be held hybrid, allowing both participation in person in the City Council Chambers and remotely via Zoom. To receive access codes for the remote participation, contact the City Clerk at 978-620-3233 prior to the meeting. The purpose of said hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input. Be it ordained by the Lawrence City Council of the City of Lawrence that the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence are hereby further amended by adding the following subparagraph to Section 10.28.040 of the Municipal Code, one-way streets, Diamond Street from a point 230 feet from the intersection of Andover Street to the intersection of Andover Street in a northerly direction. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Lawrence that the revised ordinances of the city are hereby amended by adding the following subparagraphs to Section 12.04.030 of the Municipal Code, listed of accepted streets, Diamond Street, to the extent that there exist any ordinances to the contrary, they are hereby repealed in that respect only.
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
Motion to table.
Public hearing is now open. It's not closed yet. So are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this matter? I see one person who wishes to speak. Please come forward and give your name and address for the record.
Good evening, councilors. I am Liza St. Onge. I reside in Salem, New Hampshire, but I'm here representing Greater Lawrence Community Action Council at 305 Essex Street in Lawrence. So this item has been placed in the addendum agenda a few months ago. This relates to the project that we're doing on Andover Street, 585 Andover Street, which is the construction of a new child care center for 299 children, preschool and toddler, and some school-age children. We have talked about this project for many years with the city. We started 5 years ago doing some fundraising. So the city has been aware about the need for Diamond Street to be accepted for a while. Now, when we got the funding last year to start this project, I've had several meetings with Attorney Raquel Briano, with the city engineer, Felix Garcia, and with Milagros Pueblo from the water commissioner. So on this project, we've already done the easement, the access easement, which has been recording, granting the city access through our property at 585 Andover Street. And I'm just here to answer any project-related questions.
Thank you very much. Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Councilors?
Motion to table.
Motion is made to table by Councilor Infante, seconded by Councilor Payano. There's no discussion on the tabled matter. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Infante.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario. Yes. Councilor Rodriguez. Yes. Council Vice President Estela Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor Dela Cruz. Councilor Dela Cruz.
I say no.
No, noted, okay. Councilor Levy. Council President LaPlante.
Yes, the motion is now, this item is now tabled.
Council President.
Before I acknowledge the floor, if it's all right, there were 3 housekeeping matters I'd like to take up right now while we have a full group here. There were 3 late files I'd like to take up, and we won't have a discussion on them. I'm just looking to take 3 late files out. If there's no objections, the first late file that I'd like to take is document number 35022, the city attorney contract negotiation with Charles Body. I'm looking for a motion to allow this to go on to the city council agenda this evening. No discussion at this point.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Selena
Second.
Reyes, seconded by Councilor Payano. Roll call vote, please. I'm sorry, discussion on the matter? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Levy. Yes. Councilor Dela Cruz. I'm not hearing her. Councilor Dela Cruz? Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Councilor Payano?
Yes.
Councilor Vice President Estela Reyes?
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez? Councilor Del Rosario? Yes. Councilor Selena Reyes?
Yes.
Councilor Stephanie Infante?
Yes.
Council President?
Yes. We're going to leave that matter right on as new business at this point. We'll deal with it later. The next new business late file is document 35122, the update of the paraprofessional negotiations with LPS. I'm looking for a motion to include this as late file.
Second.
Made by Councilor Infante, seconded by Councilor Payano. Any discussion? Again, just the late file, put it on the agenda. Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Infante?
Yes.
Councilor Estela Reyes?
Yes.
Sorry, Councilor Selena Reyes, my error.
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario? Yes. Councilor Rodriguez? Noted. Councilor Vice President Estela Reyes?
Yes.
Councilor Payano?
Yes.
Councilor Dela Cruz? I'm not hearing her, I apologize.
Councilor Dela Cruz, we're having a hard time here. Just one more time, please. Yes, I hear a yes.
Councilor Levy? Councilor Levy? Council President?
Yes. We have one more, but I'm going to hold that off because I see 2 of the members are now missing, so I'll hold off on the third and final one.
Council President.
And now I'll recognize Councilor Payano.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to take item 267A-22, resolution in support of requiring payments of prevailing wages to all workers performing private utility constructing in the city of Lawrence. Out of tabled matters.
Motion has been made by Councilor Payano, seconded by Councilor Del Rosario. Before I go into discussion, councilors, there is a scrivener's error on our agenda. I consulted with the city attorney on this matter. Item is definitely tabled. It should have been on there. You will not find that on there, although it should be, but it's a scrivener's error, so after consulting with the city attorney, what we're doing this evening, contacting it and making it, so we are good. Motion's been made to take it off the table. It's been properly second on that. Is there a discussion on taking it off the table? Seeing no discussion on taking it off the table, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Counselor Infante.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario. Yes. Counselor Rodriguez. Noted. Absent. Council Vice President Estela Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor Dela Cruz. Yes. Counselor Levy. Yes. Council President.
Yes. Motion is taken off the table. I believe the motion, the underlying motion, is a motion in favor of the document. Is there any further discussion on the motion to adopt the resolution this evening? Councilor Payano.
Thank you, Council President. Council President, I'd like to invite Mike Gagliardi to take the mic and answer any questions that anybody may have and talk about the importance of this resolution.
Very good. Mr. Moreira, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Sorry, my bad. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Council President. This is a critical issue here. We've struggled with the gas industry here in the city of Lawrence more than anybody. There are many communities that have taken a stand against the gas company to ensure that they not only pay prevailing wage and the workers aren't exploited, but the workers reflect the community. And as you can see, we come here with our members. Our members represent the community. The gas company and its subcontractors have excluded us from the work, refused to hire us, devastated our community, and it's about time that we hold them accountable. And it's about time that this city council stands up and says that contractors that are going to come to work in this city are going to be responsible to our residents. There are many other communities that do it, and for some reason we've chosen not to here, whether it's because of a legal opinion or not. There are instances where communities can do it. This is one of them. We're in a federal economic enterprise zone, and the reason we remain with high unemployment is because the exacerbation of these contractors that come in and take the work, take their money back to their own communities, and leave our residents in despair, either working for a temporary agency or unemployed. So this issue is a small step in moving the council in a direction that when we're going to enter into contracts or allow contractors to come to work in our city, they're going to hire our residents, they're going to pay them a living wage, and they're going to be represented with dignity and respect. And it took a long time for this council to reflect the city. It has finally done it, and it is about time that a council that reflects this city takes a stand for the workers to make sure that they not only get paid appropriate, but the workforce is diverse and comes from our community. And if anybody has any questions relative to this ordinance, I'd be happy to answer them. Or resolution, I'm sorry.
Anything else, members of the committee? Sorry, you got me saying it now. Members of the council? One of the things if there's no questions from I have a question. What kind of impact would this have if this is only a resolution, the ordinance is still in the ordinance committee, or the proposal anyway? What impact would this cost the taxpayers of the city if there's an increase in the price to meet the prevailing wage threshold?
As we've done the research and received some of the reimbursement costs that these contractors are submitting to the gas industry, there would be no increase in cost. They're going to come here and say that there's an increase in cost because they're going to pay somebody a living wage. Well, first off, I believe that paying somebody a living wage is worth a de minimis cost. But when you look at the reimbursement that these contractors are providing to the gas company to reimburse them for their people, it's almost an identical figure. There's also a social cost here that this council has to take into effect. At some point, we have to take a stand to uplift our members in this community out of poverty, give them a pay that includes a pension and health care so that they can provide a home for their family, take their families on vacation, put their kids to school, and the gas industry is already paying it to the subcontractor, and the subcontractor takes that money, exploits the workers, and then chooses, even worse, not to hire us from the city of Lawrence. And if we haven't suffered enough from them now, when will we?
So, just so I'm clear, so you don't, it's minimal, if any, kind of cost? I realize there's other impacts at all, but.
Correct.
But right now.
Part of the work that's done under the gas utility work is already done at a prevailing wage. Anything that's done in response to a utility relocation of a public works project is already paid at the prevailing wage.
So how persuasive will this ordinance, if it's passed, obviously not this evening, that's not the ordinance, will be impactful on the city? How impactful would it be?
It would be tremendously impactful. We will be uplifting a couple of hundred of our residents by saying, not only are you going to pay the prevailing wage here in the city of Lawrence, you're going to hire us. And for every one of those families that goes from making $15 an hour to making a living wage is a credit to this council. They will have uplifted at least 200 people's standard of living to where they can live with dignity and respect. And the city of Cambridge has already done it, and the city of Boston is in the process of doing it right now, as is Springfield. And to be honest, I'm a little bit remiss, and I was away, so we took some time, because I would have liked to lead the charge here, given that we had to live through the disaster here a few years ago. And if we take a look at, if we take a look at the workforce that was here to do the work, the gas company didn't supply jobs to our people. They supplied temporary things. When the gas company comes here with their own employees, they don't represent our community either. They don't live here. They don't work here. I'm the last chartered construction local union in the city of Lawrence. Everybody else has fled. We've been here for 105 years, and we're not going anywhere.
Any other comments, questions from members of Mr. Payano?
Thank you, Council President. No, Council President, I think it's important that the council takes a stand today. I think it's important that we push to, especially in projects within the city, that we push to hire folks that are from here, from Lawrence, from the region, to ensure that the money that is being spent is being spent in the area. And I think the question is that we're asking that the council take an opinion that these companies that have this money, pay a prevailing wage. I don't think that's a lot to ask for. I ask that all the council members here support this opinion and vote in favor of it.
Discussion on this matter. Seeing none.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Rodriguez.
I have a few questions.
Sure, Councilor.
I already spoke with Councilor Payano, but I just want to make sure that a couple of things that are being said. So, on the resolution, are we talking about private business, perhaps that need to pay prevailing wage to any type of work when contractor do work in the city of Lawrence, or just publicly used funds must pay prevailing wage?
What we are talking about is having a quasi-public entity, such as the gas company, require all of its subcontractors to pay a prevailing wage that come here.
So that includes if the subcontractor are going to do perhaps a connection to a gas meter to an individual property owner, correct?
This is the only instance when we open a public road that there is not a prevailing wage paid. And that's because of the lobby of the gas industry. Every other company that comes here into the city does a road opening to do a connection, pays the prevailing wage. But for some reason, the gas company in their lobby have been able to exclude themselves from it, so that when they sent their individuals here, and their public relations person was making $1.5 million, they were worried about their own, not worried about the people doing the work.
Essentially, so we're talking about not private business, but perhaps.
It will be private. They have, if they subcontract the work to a private contractor, that contractor will be required to pay the prevailing wage if the council votes for this resolution, and then we turn it into an ordinance.
Understood. Thank you.
Councilors, any other comments, questions? Hearing none, clerk, I'll ask the.
Thank you, Council President.
Please call the roll, clerk.
Councilor Levy? Yes. Councilor Dela Cruz?
At this moment.
Counselor, we have a hard time hearing you, but I think you're asking what the vote is on. The vote is on a resolution number 267A22, a resolution in support of requiring payment of prevailing wages to all workers performing private utility constructions in the city of Lawrence. That's what we're voting on, a resolution to adopt.
Okay, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Payano?
Yes.
Counselor Vice President Estela Reyes?
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario? Yes. Counselor Selena Reyes?
Yes.
Counselor Infante?
Yes.
Council President LaPlante?
Yes. Motion carries, the resolution is adopted.
Council President,
I was going to do one more, yes, sir, Mr. Payano?
I'd like to take an item out of order.
If it's all right, we've got folks here, I'm just going to let them know that we're going to be referring something to the committee, that way they don't have to wait till 11 o'clock tonight.
So I
That's
think,
all right?
Yeah, but I think that, I don't know if that's the item that you're.
35122
Yeah,
is what
so
I'm looking at.
I'd like to take that out of order, sir.
I was-
I'd like to make an item, a motion to take item 351-22 out of order.
Okay, I was going to send that down to the committee. Council, you have the floor, document 35122.
Thank you, Council President. So I am asking for, well, did we make a, yep.
So motion 35122 is looking at taking out of order.
Yep.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Clerk, please call the roll. I'm sorry, your discussion as to what you're trying to do before we call the roll. What do you?
I'd like to take it out of.
There you go. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Infante?
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes?
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario? Yes. Counselor Rodriguez? Yes. Council Vice President Estela Reyes?
Yes.
Counselor Payano?
Yes.
Counselor Dela Cruz? She voted yes. Counselor Analevi? Council President?
Yes, the motion to take it out of order. Councilor Payano, what is your motion?
Thank you, Council President. Council President, the motion is a resolution in support of the professionals' efforts in trying to reach a negotiation, and it's a resolution in support of a living wage for all Lawrence Public Schools employees. I'd like to read this item for the record. Whereas an effective school system relies on employees who feel supported, respected, and fairly compensated by the district that employs them, and whereas all workers, whether in the public or private sector, deserve to earn a living wage defined as the wage required for workers to support themselves and their families, and whereas LPS has been in state receivership since 2011, which means that the State Education Commission's ultimate district, including control over negotiations relating to wages and working conditions, and whereas many employees in the Lawrence Public Schools earn far below the standard for a living wage as calculated by MIT, and also earn far below the regional wage standard for their job classification, and whereas many employees in LPS, especially the lowest paid employees, are also Lawrence residents who are suffering from the fallout of the pandemic and soaring inflation, and whereas the low pay of LPS employees in conjunction with challenging working conditions have contributed to acute staffing shortages across the district, and whereas these acute staffing shortages are having a negative impact on LPS students who rely on the behavioral and academic support that are available in fully staffed and resource schools, and whereas increasing the pay of low-wage LPS employees to a living wage will help attract and retain highly qualified staff, improve employee morale, reduce staff turnover and its accompanying costs, and enhance educational support and consistency for the students and families, and whereas LPS has the financial resources to pay all its employees a living wage, including substantial federal ESSER $61 million unclaimed as of September 2022, and Chapter 70 state aid permanent increases to the base on the order of $20 million annually are expected over the next 5 years, thanks to the Opportunity Act. Now therefore be it resolved that the Lawrence City Council implores the Lawrence Public Schools, which are under the control of the State Education Commissioner, to pay all of his workers a living wage, and be enacted that a certified copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Lawrence Alliance for Education Receivership Board and the State Education Commissioner. Councilors, I would like to, I'm submitting this language for approval of the City Council, and I ask for that support.
So this is a new item, just so I'm clear. Did you wish, we're going to be referring this to the committee. You just want to make sure this paperwork is part of the agenda package?
Council President, I believe that what the councilors are in support of this, and the folks here are asking for us to take a vote on this matter tonight because there is an urgency with this as they are engaging in conversations this month. So I think, submitting it to where normally we might submit this to a committee, and, our resolutions can last a while there. I think that the urgency of this matter would require us to engage in conversation tonight and hopefully take a vote tonight.
So if we're going in this direction, there's a couple of items that need to be done. Number one, every matter, according to our rules, every matter that is put on the agenda needs to be sent to a committee. One thing is we have to do is, we're not supposed to be voting on anything the night that it is provided, and this is actually a late file. So we need to suspend our rules to allow us not to send this to a committee. That's number one. Number two, if we're looking to deal with something this evening, we would have to deem it as an emergency. To deem it an emergency, we have to declare why it's an emergency, and then we need to have a vote for that. And then, of course, after we have the vote for the emergency, declaring an emergency, after both those things are satisfied, we're going to need to have the actual vote to adopt the resolution. Do you have okay? So that's where it stands at this point. So,
So, Council President, I'd like to make a motion. If you could remind me, which rule are we suspending?
So that's a great question. I'm looking at, we're looking for it right now. So rule number 12 is that nothing can be adopted by the city council on the day it's introduced. So we're looking, unless it's an emergency. So the first one is to declare this an emergency. We will need a motion to second, and then we'll need 6 affirmative votes.
So,
and why is it an emergency?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion that we declare this as an emergency, as I stated before. There's an urgency with this, and essentially, since we are dealing with not just the lives of the workers, but also our students, and we're talking about ensuring that our schools are adequately staffed. This is an important, to me, a safety issue and within the schools, and an important community need.
Motion has been made to make this an emergency. It is seconded by Councilor Rodriguez. Discussion. Seeing none, clerk, is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Infante.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Council Vice President Estela Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor Maria de la Cruz.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Levy. Yes. Council President.
Chair votes no. Motion passes as an emergency. Councilor.
Councilor, I'd like to make a motion to suspend Rule 12.
Second. Rule 12, this is to suspend the rules that requires the city council to send this to the committee. That's the motion before us. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Rodriguez. Any discussion on this matter? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Levy. Yes. Councilor de la Cruz.
Say yes or no?
We need the back room to turn the mic up for Councilor De La Cruz so we can all hear her a little bit more. John, can you please turn up the mic so we can hear Councilor De La Cruz? Councilor De La Cruz, give it about 3 seconds and then begin explaining it again. Councilor De La Cruz, let's try it again. We're in the middle of a vote. we're not really engaged in the debate as to why. Right now, the question is whether or not we are not sending this to the committee. We just deemed it an emergency, so we just need a vote to suspend that rule. So what is your vote, Counselor?
If you don't give me an explanation, I won't be able to understand which way should I go.
So we are suspending the rules the rules require that this must go to a committee. We're suspending that rule so it doesn't go to a committee.
This is for the resolution.
And this is for the resolution that deals with the living wages for public school employees.
Yes, I'm voting yes.
Yes, continue.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Infante.
Yes.
Council President.
Yes. Now, the final adoption.
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to approve this resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Payano, seconded by the Vice President. Discussion.
Discussion.
I heard discussion. Counselor Rodriguez?
Council President, through you, I'll definitely endorse this resolution tonight. But any particular efforts that come in front of me when it comes to the Lawrence Public School. I also going to support the 14.7 / $15.5 million for the construction of the school, because when it comes to education, we need to support our kids through providing. That's what we're here for. This is a message to the Lawrence Public School that they need to provide too. We endorsing this resolution, or I'm endorsing this resolution, because we, as Laurentians, we need to get paid. And back in 1912, the bread and roses strike means descent. We need bread, but we also need roses. Money, let's pay them. Thank you, Council President.
Are there any other members who wish to speak on this item? Councilor De La Cruz, you have the floor.
Yes, I would like to know more information about the emergency of this document.
I can't hear the follow-up question. I will ask the sponsor. I mean, I could go read this again, but I'm asking the sponsor just to kind of
What is the question?
The question is, why is this an emergency? Why are we voting for this tonight?
Sure. So I think I'll repeat what I mentioned earlier. The reason we're voting this tonight is because they are engaged in contract negotiations. And I think that we are in a unique position as elected officials within the city, as elected officials that have been having conversations with the school department for months, if not years, as to the work that should be done there, as elected officials are about to vote on whether or not we should invest $20 more million into a school building. We are in a unique position to take an opinion on this matter. And the matter is that we have individuals that are working for our schools, that are going in, day in, day out, to service our kids. And across the region, they're being paid a whole lot more. The reason that they are continuing to work here in Lawrence is because they love what they do, and they love our kids. If they were just focused on the money, they'd be working in Lowell, they'd be working in Haverhill. Folks we have incredible staff, everybody from teachers to paraprofessionals, janitors, principals that work within our LPS, and I find that they tend to work harder than other school departments that get paid more because the issues that we deal in Lawrence are different, and sometimes they're difficult. So, you know, our paraprofessionals are dealing with the emotional health of our kids, and while they're dealing with that, they also have to try to figure out whether or not how they're going to meet rent and how are they going to, you know, pay for food. So that is the current issue that they're dealing with, and they're coming before us asking for support. This resolution is in support of those efforts where we are asking Lawrence Public Schools to pay them a prevailing wage. You know, my view is that the money is there for them to do it. As mentioned in the resolution, there's still over $60 million that hasn't been, as of September, has not been spent out of ESSER money, and there is more money that's coming from the Student Opportunity Act. So, Council President, that is why it is before us tonight.
Councilor De La Cruz, do you have any follow-up questions, or can we move to the next speaker?
Will this open the door for not just the paraprofessional, but all the school workers to increase their salaries because they're making very low money at this moment?
Mr. do you have a response for that?
Council President, it'd be difficult for me to respond. What I would say is that this is negotiations with the paraprofessionals. So it's a negotiations with that particular union. There are other unions that engage in different conversations. We just had a similar discussion where a lot of council members here were advocating for the cafeteria workers at Lawrence High School to be paid a living wage. I don't think they essentially got a living wage, but they got better than what they had before. So, you know, perhaps this resolution will get folks in LPS to know our stands as a whole.
Thank you so much. Are there any other members of the city council who wish to speak on this matter? I just have a general question. There's a lot of discussion regarding a living wage. What is a living wage today? Do we have an answer to that?
Council President, question. I would like to bring up Eric here to speak to us on that. I was not, but I was expecting, you know, any questions that will give an opportunity for one of my, so he went to the most amazing school in the country, UMass Amherst. So any opportunity to bring up my colleague here, I'll take it.
Name, please, and address.
Eric Blanchette, 56 Lakewood Terrace in Haverhill. Mr. President, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology has a living wage calculator where they figure out how much an individual needs to make to pay their rent, to afford food, and they have figured out that for an individual with no children in Essex County, it takes $23 to have a living wage. They have calculated that an individual with one child needs something like $48 per hour to survive. So you can go on to the Massachusetts MIT Living Wage Calculator. They have a website where you can figure out exactly by the county how much it takes to have a living wage to afford to live in that area.
Mr. Blanchette, could you tell me, like, what is the current medium wage now for paraprofessionals, and what is a medium wage in one of the surrounding areas, like how it compares to that?
So we have about 400 paraprofessionals who work in Lawrence Public Schools, and the average salary is about $18.47, somewhere in that ballpark. AFT Massachusetts, which is the union that represents folks here in town, also represents workers at Greater Lawrence Technical School. We know that those paraprofessionals make up to $36 an hour. So
you can finish. I was going to say thank you.
Okay.
I'll say thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Any other members besides myself with questions? That's it. If there's no further questions, I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Counselor Levy? Yes. Counselor Dela Cruz? She voted yes.
She did.
Counselor Payano?
Yes.
Council Vice President Estela Reyes?
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario?
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes?
Yes.
Counselor Infante?
Yes.
And Council President LaPlante?
Yes, the resolution is adopted this evening. Congratulations. Now, we're going to move on to another.
Council President.
Sure, Counselor Payano.
I'm sorry, Council President. Sorry, not sorry. I'd like to take item 288-22 out of order. Approval of
Second.
funding, appropriation, and borrowing authorization for the Oliver School project.
Second.
Before I recognize that, that's the Oliver School. Before I recognize that, I would just like to do one more late file, just to get it done while we have 7 members here, and I promise I can go. Would you be willing to allow that accommodation? At this point, document 35222 is a late file as well, although it's not listed as a late file on your agenda. That's additional funds for the new police station project. I need 7 votes just to put it on the agenda this evening. Is there a motion for a late file to put on?
Second.
Councilor Payano has made the motion, seconded by the Vice President. Discussion?
Discussion.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Just wondering, do we met the 48 hours threshold?
It did. It came on Friday.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on the late file? Seeing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Selena Reyes?
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario?
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Council Vice President?
Yes.
Counselor Payano? Yes. Counselor Dela Cruz? Yes. And Council Levy? Yes. Council President?
Yes, it is put on there as a late file. I'll probably do it again, but that's going to the Budget and Finance Committee. Now, Councilor Payano, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to take item 288-22 out of order.
Second.
Before you take the question, I just need to reclude myself for this item.
Council Vice President, there is a motion now to take off document
Second.
288, 22 off of the table. It is properly seconded. Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll to take it off the table.
Counselor Levy? Yes. Counselor Dela Cruz?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Counselor Payano?
Yes.
Counselor Vice President has recused herself. Counselor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario? Yes. Counselor Selena Reyes?
Yes.
Counselor Infante?
Yes.
Council President?
Yes. At this point, I'm going to ask, and by the way, I'm delighted to see so many young people here this evening. Unfortunately, if you're going to take a pictures, counselors, now's the time to do it, because I'm about to go ahead and ask them to take their signs down according. Got it? We got it? We are almost done. Thank you. I will ask the signs to be down. According to our rules, there are no signs in the City Council chamber. That's decorum rule number 7. Thank you so much for acknowledging and respecting our rules like we would respect your rules in the classroom, so we do appreciate that.
I'm sorry, Council President.
The last time we had the discussion on this, there was a motion on the floor. The motion
To approve.
also included an amendment to have the bond authorization for, I think it was $15.5 million. That was the reduction. I just wanted to make sure that the members of the the council is clear that motion, after an exchange between Mr. Einella, the capo, and Jay Gonzalez, the bond attorney, that it is in order. The only thing that we would need to do, however, is we would need to have a special vote on that so that the record reflects that it is in there. So I will ask for the sponsor of it to go ahead, and we're going to have a special motion just on the 15.5, and then we can continue on with the rest of it, so it meets the qualifications from Jay Gonzalez, our bond counsel. Any questions on that?
So, Council President, so we need a vote on that?
Just a roll call vote.
Okay.
Yeah, roll call vote on, just on the 15.5, and then we're.
Even though it was taken as a friendly amendment, no?
Well, it needs to have a vote, because this is different than 20 million, and we want to make sure that we don't do anything wrong. We don't have any room for errors tonight.
All right, sounds good.
So let's just have make the motion again, have it seconded, and all we need is 5 votes for an amendment, right? So, Councilor Rodriguez, do you wish to make the amendment again?
Well, I make an amendment to.
Second.
I make an amendment to actually reduce from 20 million to $15.5 million.
Second.
The motion has been made to reduce the bond authorization from previous $20 million to now $15.5 million, and the record needs to reflect that. It's been properly seconded by Councilor Payano. Any discussions on this amendment? Just the amendment, not the underlying full thing yet. Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll on the amendment.
This is a roll call vote.
Yes. Roll call, all will be tonight, yep.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Council Vice President has recused herself. Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Infante.
Yes.
Council President.
Yes. I think that was unanimous. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 7 votes on that? 8 votes, thank you. Okay, so now we're back to the discussion regarding the classroom is important. That's right, Mr. Piano. So we need to have, the underlying amendment now is 15.5 with the entire bond authorization language. And so is there any further discussion on this? I see Councilor Rodriguez with his hand up. Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes, thank you, Council President, for the opportunity. Again, I would like people to understand how we get to the $15.5 million. The maximum amount that is required for this project to be done is 14.87. Talking from top of my head, $14.87 million. We received the maximum amount that it's going to be for the project, and we actually thinking that maybe a possibility of any other expenditure. We went ahead and have some type of contingency of 5% on top of the $14.87 million, which come up to be $15.5 million for that specific project. So I just want to have that for the record too.
Are there any other members of the council who wish to speak on this matter? This will need 6 votes this evening. Councilor Del Rosario.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to add a comment that even though we all on the same page for education, this should be a message to translate to the LPS. We should have been thinking if we're going to vote in favor for the kids or not, due to the fact that we have the worst relationship with the LPS. We should have been thinking if we're going to approve your money to improve the kids' schools, if you don't have a great relationship with the paraprofessionals, with the teachers, with the kitchen workers. You, LPS, is here asking for $20 million. You were asking for $20 million to rebuild a school. Great for the kids. But you don't come here to ask for money to raise the living wage of the people that are actually going to take care of our kids. At the end of the day, we, the taxpayers, are the ones that are going to pay for that. And we do it for our kids. But LPS needs to learn, they needs to build a relationship with this entire body and also have a better relationship with the people that are actually taking care of our kids, which is our securities, kitchen workers, professionals, and paraprofessionals. So we shouldn't be here voting. It should be unanimous without thinking. But if the LPS do not fix the relationship with us and the workers, this discussion will always be like this. Questions and afraid of how are we going to vote. But we're always going to vote for our kids. But again, bring this message back to LPS. You need to have a better relationship with us and also your workers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other city councilors wish to speak? I'm going to invite Mr. Ainella to his few words.
Just for the vote, I just have a comment. Sorry. Just want to make sure that the vote is, the original item before you was 20 million, and now it's 15,500,000. Also in paragraph 2 of the loan order for the clerk, in paragraph 2 it was 152,300,000. The new number is 147,800,000. So it needs to be changed in both paragraph 1 and paragraph 2.
Council President?
Councilman
I'd just like to add just a couple more words. I think it's important, not just that we approve this, I think we would be making it's a very important vote for a project that's already ongoing. But as we are taking this vote, I do think it's important for us, for everyone to see the importance of how LPS and the city officials are able to work together. So I am on the mic. Okay, yeah, I don't know. It's okay. This goes to show how LPS and city officials are able to work together. I mean, we have the Oliver School here. We figured out a way to pay for the Leahy School. So I see that our officials here in LPS are doing their due diligence to try to support our youth, support our schools. I think it is important for LPS officials to do that as well, and I'm saying everybody from all the way from the bottom all the way to the top. I know there's a public safety committee meeting. I am not in the public safety committee, but as a former chair of 4 years, I feel like I have to be in solidarity with the committee members, and I know that there's a committee meeting coming up, and I know that one of the questions, a couple of the members there are looking to see the superintendent at that committee meeting, and I hope that the superintendent is able to attend, because I think that when we are making these hard choices, and these are hard choices. I mean, we're talking about $15 million that we have to go out to the public and explain to them why we are taking that, why they're going to see their taxes increase. And some of them have kids in LPS, but many folks do not. So we have to understand why we're doing this investment, and we're proud to do that. And it is important that we are as informed as possible, and I do know that our colleagues are asking for the superintendent to attend their next meeting, and I hope that as we take this vote, hopefully in favor, that we'll be seeing LPS leadership attend their meetings as well. Thank you.
Thoughts on this, and you're welcome to do so since this is the school that you are leading.
Thank you, and good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. I am a taxpayer. I'm a resident of the city, and my name is Shalomar Quiles, and I also am blessed to serve as the principal of the Oliver Elementary School. Our community has come before this council several times in the last few years. We even rallied in the Common, where we saw many familiar faces sitting here today, to make noise about honestly, the deplorable conditions that our students were learning under. And actually, there was a lack of learning in that space, and that not only impacted students, it impacted families, and it also impacted staff. I do not take lightly, we as a community do not take lightly the request that's at the table. But I would strongly urge this committee to recognize the impacts that COVID has already had on our students, on our family, on the broader community. And we know that this increase in funding has been impacted by the pandemic, and please do not further let this continue to negatively impact our students. I also recognize that there are some relational things you guys are referencing. Again, I don't think it's fair that our students be the ones to bear the burden of some of the things that we as adults need to work through. So I strongly just urge the council. These students are so deserving. They worked really hard to be here today, and they just really deserve, come on, Sabi. They really deserve to have a space that they can be themselves. It is an expense, but the greater expense is the lives of our students that are here today. So I just strongly urge you to consider this vote.
Are there any other members of the city council wish to speak? All right. Maybe one day he'll be a member of the city council. We'll find out. Councilor Rodriguez?
Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Well, essentially, I want to bring up a couple of things to this body. And when it comes to the educational system in the city of Lawrence, we have a lot of students that they're here for the right reasons. A lot of staff, a lot of teachers, a lot of administrators, they're here for the right reasons, and a lot of them are here today. A couple of things that I want to talk about the Oliver School. The last 3 student movement that I have seen, all of them came because of them. And two of them are for the school, and all the one against the administrations. The first one, back in a year and a half ago, they went to the common. The second one was last winter, when they actually went viral with a video of a couple of students, because they were perhaps suffering because of the cold weather outside. I hope that changed, because it is not acceptable for our students to be called outside because they are 7:29 and they get in at 7:30. And today, so they are telling us as an adult what we need to do when it's good from one side and when it's bad for the same side. So listen to them. It is important, and we are here to listen. We are here to support them, either if they are on one side or on other side. I hope things change on that matter. The scheduling in general for the school system in the city of Lawrence, starting at 7:30, is not great, because it's not thinking quite much about what parents need to go through in terms of getting a job that actually start at 8 a.m. in the morning. So I personally going to be doing a research in regard to this matter eventually. But when it comes to the Oliver School, they are strikers. They are the future of the city of Lawrence. They are Laurentians. And when it comes to speak, they are doing it today. They have done it in the past, and we're going to keep on listening to them. I'm definitely in favor of supporting this item tonight. Not just because of that we're building a new school. It's because we're building a new generation that is going to come up. And that is being represented today by the Oliver School students. Eventually, we're going to see the Leahy School students coming up, and any other school that is on the repair. And we're here to support them big time. But we need the adult to listen to those kids as well. When it comes to the city council, we are looking forward to have conversation with the adult at the school department. We are looking to improve those kids' life. That's all we need. That's all we're looking for, nothing else. And eventually, I hope that under this administration, under this receivership, under the future administration of the LPS, whoever it is that's going to lead the school, that listen to the students, but also listen to the people that represent, that actually get elected to represent the people. And that's the city council and any other elected body, as well as just a regular parents that is up there in need of those students' better future. Thank you guys, thank you students.
The next speaker, I see that Councilor De La Cruz. Your hand is up, Councilor.
Thank you, Council President. At this moment, we have to make a good decision. Are we building the school, or are we losing all the money that was already in place for this building? I understand we need to have better communication between superintendent and the parents and the paraprofessionals and the teachers in the community. We need to sit down and talk, because this is now one side of the coin making all the decisions. We have parents that need to be heard. We have paraprofessionals who are there as teachers, and we have teachers working in a lot of hours to make the education in our city. But at this moment, we lose all the money that was already in place, or we make a decision to continue with this building. This building is needed, and we have no choice. We have to be serious about that. But also, I believe the superintendent need to sit down with the different unions and with the different community. We have to make sure everybody's getting a decent salary. We have to do that. I understand that piece, but also we need to continue with this building because it's already a lot of investment in the Oliver School. Thank you, and I'm ready to vote.
Thank you, Counselor. Are there any other counselors who wish to speak on this matter this evening? Counselor Infante.
Thank you, Council President. Through you, Mr. President, I have a question for Chief Hernandez.
Good evening, councilors.
Hello. I would like, do we have a student that is willing to say a few words of what a new school means to them? I would like, this is about the students. We've heard a lot about the adults. We have the students here tonight. I would like to get at least a statement from one student.
Sure, Councilor. Give me a couple of seconds and let me get your student.
Hi, my name is Sebastian, and I want a new school. We deserve a new school, and we've worked hard in knowledge in our school to learn about a lot of things. I don't know what else to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President.
Is that it? Very good. Are there any other members of the City Council who wish to speak on this matter? If there's not hearing, we're about to take a vote. Before we take a vote, I'm going to hand over the gavel to the senior individual on the council, Mr. Rodriguez, so he can allow me to speak, and then after that we can have the vote. Councilor Rodriguez, will you please take the gavel? Thank you very much.
Council President LaPlante.
Thank you so much. This is an important topic. I'm rising today to talk about this because it's pretty significant. We've got this school coming in for, over $100 million, and now there's cost overruns. I did not support the funding in the first round, but we went through it, and now we're stuck. And there's a reason. The reasons why I didn't vote for it during the first round is the same as my concerns this evening. And it's important that even in a minority, I think this is going to pass this evening, and if the votes are short by one, I'll be supporting it because we need to do it. We need to pass it this evening. But the opposing view needs to be heard, or at least the view regarding the concern, right? The concern is that we've gone through a lot of growth in the city. A lot of houses, a lot of conversions. The zoning board, illegal apartments, the zoning board's allowing a lot more, and they're stopping a lot more breaks now. But over the course of years, this is not just a today problem, this has been happening now for years through various administrations. And this is putting a burden on the school system that now we have to try to find some relief. But in finding a relief in today's economy, to try to find the money the stuff doesn't grow on trees. And yes, we are getting some state subsidies, we are getting some state monies, but we're also putting in some money. And each of the dollars of the 15.5 that we're going to be supporting this evening, it's not coming from the state. It's coming from us. It's coming from our neighbors. It's coming from our parents. It's coming from others that we know who own homes in the city. It's coming from us. And we just need to be cognizant of the fact that if we don't have smart growth in the city, if we don't deal with the growth of our population in a way that makes it sustainable, we're going to continue to have these kinds of votes in the future. And I, for one, and many of my colleagues, through you, Mr. Chair, many of my colleagues know about this, and I know that many of my colleagues actually agree with me on the principle of what I am speaking about, that we need to be smarter about our growth. And I just want to make one more illustration. We have doubled the cars in this city in the last 10 years. We have doubled the cars, which means more congestion, which means more parking problems, which means that whenever we deal with parking at this city council, we're finding it harder and harder every time to try to find adequate parking because people want to park near their homes. And we continue to grow, and we continue to grow, and we see the mills, and we see the new construction, and we see the conversions. So we need to, this sounds like an odd vote this evening, and it's very nuanced, Mr. Chair, and I'll grant you that. It is nuanced. That school needs to get finished, because if we don't vote in favor of it tonight, what we're going to have is a shell on Haverhill Street. And we've already put $45 million. We've already put $45 million in, and we have to go forward with it now. We have to. If there's 5 votes this evening, I will be the 6th vote in favor of it this evening. If there is 6 votes for it this evening, I want my vote to at least make people aware that we do have an issue that we need to deal with, and I'll be voting no if we have the votes to pass it this evening. So it's kind of a weird vote this evening for me, but it's a principled vote that I wanted to share, and I wanted you to understand, Mr. Chairman, why I'm voting the way that I'm voting tonight. We do need to go forward on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President LaPlante. Councilors, does anybody wish to speak on this item? I have one more question. To the CEO of the Lawrence Public Schools. What is the actual ratio teacher students in the Lawrence Public Schools today?
Good evening, councilors. I don't have that information. I can tell you we have over 13,000 students currently enrolled in the Lawrence Public School system. That includes pre-K through 12th grade. And our staffing count is over 2,500 staff.
So this number sounds familiar, like more than 25 to 1, kind of? Yes? All right, I just have that question. Thank you so much. Councilor Rodriguez, any other question?
I have one.
Councilor Levy?
How many vacancies we have right now at the school?
Great question, Councilor. Unfortunately, I don't have that information. I do not oversee human resources. I am happy to get back tomorrow to work and consult with human resources for that information.
Okay, so you please can send it to us how many vacancies we have.
I'm sorry, Councilor, I couldn't hear you.
If you can send it to all the information, it will be appreciated.
Absolutely, I'll go back and I'll share with my colleagues.
And I want to say something. You are the winning tonight. Yes, you all are the winning. But, and agree with my council president say, we all have to pay for everything that we are voting tonight. But they are the winner. And we do because of our students, for our kids. They need a new school. They need something better for their lives. They are the future of the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor Levy. Councilor Rosario?
In the same position as Anna Levy, you might don't have the answer, but can we get also a report of the $100 million state, federal, and the student opportunities, how they spend it, or where they are, or what happened with that money?
The Student Opportunity Act.
The Student Opportunity Act, $100 million. Can we get a report on it?
Counselor, are you asking me? Because I see you looking around. I'm not sure if you're addressing me. or-
Well, I can address my colleagues. I'm addressing you, yes. Can you send us a report, or how do you guys spend it, or where's the money? $100 million for the State Federal and the Student Opportunity Act. With that information of the vacancy that you're going to send my colleague, Anna Levy, please.
Sure, Councilor Del Rosario, I'll be happy to go back to the office tomorrow and speak with my colleagues and also share this request with the superintendent, who I'm sure will be happy to reshare this information.
Councilor, if there is any other questions? All right, we're getting ready to call the roll call.
Counselor Levy.
Yes.
Counselor Dela Cruz. Yes.
Sorry.
Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor Vice President has recused herself. Counselor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes. Counselor Infante.
Yes.
Council President.
No.
Motion.
All right, motion carries. Congratulations.
Council President,
Thank you,
5-minute,
councilors.
motion for a 5-minute recess.
Second.
Before we go, we have to take a roll call. There's a motion to recess by the Councilor Infante, seconded by Councilor Selena Reyes. In discussion, hearing none, clerk, please call the roll on recess.
Counselor Infante.
Councilors, I want to remind the students, this is a vote for recess. All right.
Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez. Counselor Reyes has recused herself. Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor Dela Cruz. Counselor Levy.
Yes.
Council President.
Yes, we are now in recess. I am looking for a motion
So move.
Second.
to come out of recess.
So move.
Made by the Vice President, second by Mr. Del Rosario. I don't see Councilor De La Cruz on the screen, so at this point, we can just go with, voice votes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The next document is under, so I've already sent down the 35222, the police station, the budget and finance. Resolutions, 33522, a resolution elected Lawrence School Committee by our Vice Chair of the School Committee, Mr. Guzman. That's going to the Ordinance Committee. Budget and Finance Committee. Budget and Finance Committee. If you are the chair of the Budget and Finance Committee,
He left.
I don't want to mention any names, but it rhymes with Chairman Payano.
Oh, you meant Councilor Payano. I'm sorry. No, he's here.
Mr. Payano, you have the floor for committee reports. The first document is document 28522.
Thank you, Council President. I think before you were calling me Paisano, but Payano sounds good. Council President, the Budget and Finance Committee met and we voted majority vote to send to the full council with favor recommendation item 285-22 to allow the expenditure from the Department of Energy Resource Green Communities Competitive Grant Program. Energy conservation measures at City Hall and South Lawrence East Schools, $199,996.
Motion's been properly made. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by the Vice President. Discussion. Seeing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The next document is document 31622. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council President. The Budget and Finance Committee met and we voted unanimously to send item 316-22, Lawrence Retirement COLA base increase to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Motion's been made by the chairman. It's been properly seconded by the vice president. Mr. Chairman, I'm under advice and counsel from the Lawrence Retirement Board because of the nuance and the specificity behind the law. They would require or asking that the language be formed as follows. Pursuant to Chapter 188 of the Acts of 2010, Section 19, amending Section 103 of Chapter 32 of the Lawrence City Council, the Lawrence City Council voted in favor of raising the COLA base from $12,000 to $14,000 effective FY 2024. Would that be a part of your motion, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir, I would.
Motion, that is the motion, and it has been seconded. I'll give this to you if you want to look at it. Is there further discussion on this topic or on this matter? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The next document, do you need a roll call on that? Is a voice vote good enough? Voice is good? Okay, thank you. The next document is document number 32022. Mr. Chairman, I realize that there may be some discrepancies on this. Perhaps a committee report to start off with might be a helpful tool to get started. Mr. Chairman, on 320?
Yep, thank you, Council President. The Budget and Finance Committee met, and by a 3-to-1 vote, we voted to send to the full council as a committee report item 320-22 with the contingency that the City Council is presented with a new draft of the following streets to be as part of the contract, which is on Broadway, Havel Street to Park, and Merrimack Street. And I present that as a committee report. I will say, Council President, that I just learned recently before this meeting that those streets were not added to the new draft.
There is a motion for a committee report on this item. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by the Vice President. Discussion on the committee report. Seeing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. I am now looking for a motion on this matter.
Motion to approve?
Motion has been made to approve in the
Second.
discussion in a second. Motion has been made by the Vice President. It's been seconded by Councilor Del Rosario. Discussion? I'd like to bring up somebody from the administration to talk about the contract just a little bit and just talk a little bit about I know that the committee wanted to have a couple of streets on there, and it was explained to me prior to the meeting why that's not happening here, but why there may be an opportunity as soon as we ratify or conform to a 5-year contract, how those things can be accommodated after the vote. Can you speak to that and name please?
Jorge Jaime, 200 Common Street.
DPW Director, go ahead, Mr. Jaime.
DPW Directors, yes. We were advised by the procurement chief not to take out or add any more spaces right now because we had to go with the RFP. So after the contract is signed, so we can add or take out up to 25% once it's executed.
And that's 25% of the parking spaces, so if the number is, what's the number? I don't have it in front of me. It's 25% of that number?
25% of the contract value, generally, so that would allow us to increase the parking spaces or decrease them accordingly with negotiating with the contractor.
Thank you. That answers my question. Are there any members of the council who wish to have other questions on this matter? I see Councilor Infante's hand. Councilor Infante.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President. When once, say this vote goes through, what is the timeline, what will be the timeline of seeing the actual parking meters set up and ready to go, like ready for use?
So it's gonna be, after the contract is signed, it's gonna be up to the company. We have Jack here from PCI that is gonna be able to answer that question. He has also a presentation, because we think something that you probably would like to see is how those machines are gonna look like, how they're gonna work, how easy are they gonna be to use for the public, and the ways to pay.
Thank you, Director Jaime. My name is Jack Skelton. I'm a principal and owner of PCI Municipal Services and honored to be here before you tonight. So as Director Jaime said, the lead time on the installation would mostly be dependent on the machines to have manufactured and delivered here to the city. Our vendors are saying about 90 days from the time we can place the order until we actually get the machines here in the city so they can be installed. In advance of that, we would be doing the preparatory work, so the actual installation of the machines would go rather quickly once we have them here. But roughly 90 to 120 days would be the projection.
Thank you. I have a follow-up question. Okay. Follow-up question. Okay, thank you. I don't know whether you or Director Hyman can answer this, but what would be the hours that we would have these parking meters active?
Sorry, let me get here to give you the right answer. Cindy, do you remember that time? 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Thank you. And then my last comment, I'm glad to finally see this in front of the council. I can tell you, councilors a few months ago were invited to a ribbon cutting to celebrate the new apartments right next door to City Hall. I came and there was absolutely no parking on the street, and I got so frustrated that I ended up leaving because I couldn't find parking. So I'm a huge supporter of this, and I'm glad that it's finally in front of us, so thank you.
Councilor Levy?
Yes, my question, I know that we talk about the time. It's gonna be like a 15, 20, 30 minutes, an hour, so.
So yeah, it's gonna be the same price that it was before. It's $1 per hour.
$1 per hour.
Per hour, yes.
All right, so para people also can just put it like a 15-minute, 20-minute, or 25,
Absolutely.
whatever the time that they consider that is the time that they're gonna be using.
Absolutely, and they also can move their cars to another location, and if they pay, they will still have
Okay.
to use it.
What is the maximum hour allowed? So if if I put like a half hour, okay, in half hour I have to move my car, or there is gonna be like at a specific hour, okay, so you have to move your car after 1 hour, or you have to move your car after 2 hours?
That would be dependent on the ordinance pertaining to each street. So some streets have a time limit of an hour or 2 hours, but that would be under your control. And then it would be our expectation, if they exceeded the allotted time, that they would be issued a citation.
So, and
But
people
just to be clear, those ordinances that, were approved, like on Broadway, let's say, that says 2-hour parking, they probably needs to be removed, so we had to come in front of you again, because if we had the parking system working fine, I don't think we do not need those 15 minutes parking, because that's just gonna create confusion with the users. So we're gonna we have those 90 days once they order the machines to come in front of you and work with you, with the ordinance committee, and try to delete those ordinances that they're not gonna work after we install the parking management system.
So, parking is gonna be from Monday to Sunday, Monday
through Saturday.
to Saturday. So the Saturday is gonna be like the full day, like any other day?
And that was a request from businesses. We talk a lot with businesses. Every time that we walk on downtown, somebody's gonna come to us asking us, when are you gonna bring the meters again? Because visitors are in need of parking spaces. So me, myself, I drive a city vehicle, and sometimes I had to go 3 times around the block just to try to find a parking spot, and that's happening with all the businesses around downtown. So in Saturday, we wanted to just leave Saturday out, but guess what? Restaurants, Saturdays is when people go out with their family and eat. So restaurants around downtown are requesting to add Saturdays too, so that the visitors are able to find a parking spot in front of their businesses. So you'll see the amount of apartments that we have now in downtown. So probably, the residents are gonna park Saturdays there, and they're not gonna come out until Monday morning. That will create a big issue for businesses, and we were thinking a little bit about it, and we just listened to them.
Thank you, and I also hope that we can solve the problems that we have in here, in the parking over here. So
I hope so.
today at 6:30, we were not able to find any park.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Councilor Rodriguez and then Councilor Del Rosario.
I have a few questions through you, Mr. President. So, a couple of things that I want to bring up to that, couple of things that I want to bring up to the different parties that are putting this together. So, based on my understanding, there is an stage 1, 2, and possibly 3 for this parking contract eventually.
Just because we saw like some of the councilors would like to add some more spaces, so we probably will come out with a plan. So based on the request that you have, I'm bringing like phase 2 to this project. So it's gonna depend, how it's gonna work in the areas that we're covering right now, but definitely something that we like to see in all the areas. But we want to cover these spaces first and then see how that works and then move on with that.
Yeah. What make you remove some of the streets? Perhaps I'm seeing Broadway. Broadway, it's the concern to me and a couple other councilors that it's a foreseen situation that's going to come up eventually. Right now, we have people parking on Broadway Street throughout, not moving their vehicles for 8 to 10 hours because they're working on Broadway. And we live in one section of Broadway Street, from Broadway and Hebrew all the way to the Methuen line. Essentially, what's going to happen, what I'm seeing is, based on what I have seen, my experience, is that people working on the side of the Broadway that actually have the meters, they're going to go ahead and park on the other side that they don't have to pay, and wait for the whole day, and then those people are going to be having those issues that they have no parking, and the concerns that we probably have today on part of the street that are asking for the parking meters because they have no parking spaces. That's the sentence that's going to reproduce to those streets that are close enough to roads that are covered by the contract, but they don't have parking meters. I'm seeing it happening, especially on Broadway. So to me, it will make sense to have Broadway all the way to what it was before, so we can cover that section and have perhaps limited amount of time for parking on those locations so people can move in and out. The way I've seen this contract to be is not a revenue generator for the city. I'm seeing this contract to be an economic development for the city of Lawrence, so people can use those parking meters to get in and out to businesses, use those businesses, keep on moving to the next business if they have to, and find parking spaces so they can do business there. And there is a couple of streets here that it's kind of like, you know, shocking not to see it, because I mean, essentially that's basically how the city is, in terms of businesses, are moving. Like if you look at that section on Broadway, every first floor is a business. Every first floor is a business. It's not an apartment. It's not apartments. Every first floor is a business. So essentially we will face problems of people working at the nail salon right there. Those are families doing parking for 8 hours, parking on the other side that doesn't have to pay, and come over and don't care because they just want to close, you know, their cars to be close by, and essentially seeing the same problem as we've seen throughout the city on a specific segments. So do you guys thought about that?
So, as you know, I was not responsible for the past contract with the prior company that was running the parking system, but I learned a lot about that. So when we put the parking meters here in downtown, then I saw streets like Garden Street coming here in front of you asking for resident sticker parking only. So we had to consider that once we move out of downtown, that's gonna, people trying to escape to park on those parking meters, they're gonna start parking into the residential areas. So that's when the residents are gonna come in front of you asking for, you know, to approve resident sticker parking only. So we see that coming. That's why we wanted like to be in the downtown area. There's no way to go there. So the users now are, you know, are suffering in this area more than that. That's why we, at the beginning, we didn't thought about Broadway after Hayward Street, but we are open to look at that and definitely work with you, councilors, and not just Broadway, but other streets like Merrimack and others that will need, you know, to be addressed. Maybe Jackson Street, we should go farther than Hayward Street, but the intention was to just stay in the downtown area, but then businesses like on Lawrence Street, far away on Park, they start calling, listen, we need parking meters here because there is a lot of apartments, residents, they just park there. They're working from home now. They stay there for 5 days. They don't move. So I think this is a need, and our intention was to bring some revenues to the city of Lawrence, so I'm happy that you voted for this beautiful project like the school, but we need to bring money little by little to cover those projects, and I think this is one of the projects that we support as a city, but at the same time support, building schools, support the residents to be able to find a parking spot to come and pay their taxes at City Hall. So I see many people just come by and they had to leave because they don't find a parking spot to come in and pay the water bills. And sometimes they prefer to get, some kind of charge just because they don't find a parking spot. So as I told you, so the intention was to just stay in downtown, but again, we open to go, all the way on Broadway, so, but the time is when the contract is fully executed, so that's when we can work with this contract. Right now, we had to go with the RPF, and that's what, that's why we not adding anything right now.
How difficult it will be to add the street under this contract? Because, I mean, it's a matter of execution. I mean, there is an issue if we add any other street to the contract in terms of the execution of the actual project up there?
Before the contract is signed, so we can add or cut spaces because that's what we posted in the RFP. So if we remove some of the streets, so we had to start the process all, again, and that's why we were advised by the purchasing agent not to cut or not to add any spaces right now. So, but after the contract is fully executed, so we are able to add or cut, renegotiate it with the vendors, and that's what,
Let me ask PCI, are you guys willing to add more street in the future once you execute the project? Once you have the machine installed?
Yes, Counselor. In
Well,
fact,
how you guys are, what's that, I don't want to ask you about the intakes of your business, but I mean, what you guys are, in terms of producing money, you guys produce money based on the ticketing or based on the actual percentage that you guys getting from the parking cuts?
so the contractual relationship for the RFP is that we make the investment in the infrastructure. So we'll be spending approximately $2 million to put in the technology to run the parking program. A lot of that will be towards the kiosks, the parking kiosks. But then we'll also pay the city a guaranteed amount of $100,000 per month. And then we split revenues above 2.8 million. 70% of anything over 2.8 million goes to the city.
And the foreseen, those revenue, you guys are foreseen based on ticketing or based on parking sharing?
It's a combination of both, sir. Just on the metered program, though. The citations issued by the police will be separate.
Okay. But you guys are going to have people ticketing?
Yes, sir. We will have 11 employees that will bring 11 jobs to the community, and we plan to hire local, of course, to perform that function of enforcement.
And when it comes to the enforcement of those tickets, are you, I don't know, do you guys do any other business en masse that we can actually look at how you guys are performing work?
Not currently, sir, no.
Not currently, okay. So essentially, are you looking to do, focus more on the ticketing or focus more on the revenue from the parking? Or you say it's a combination, but what is the ratio, perhaps, if you can say?
Sure. So the purpose of enforcement is to gain compliance. The goal of the program is to have everyone pay the meter, follow the rules. For those that don't, there has to be a consequence, otherwise you won't have compliance. So it will be what it is. Hopefully, through good signage and good communication, we can get high compliance rates early in the program.
All right. So once going back to the adding portion of any particular street, because we deviate a little bit from conversation, how difficult it will be for you guys in terms of the actual work?
The RFP actually calls and gives us the ability to add streets and meters to the program with your consent. So the city would have to consent to those additions. Our plan is to give you data, to give the staff and the council data, transparency on what is actually happening. I can promise you from 30 years in the parking business, there's never enough parking. It doesn't matter how many spaces there are. If there's not a space right in front of your front door, there's not enough parking. But we'll actually be able to give you information about how many open spaces and occupied spaces are on every street in the city. So you'll have real information, and we'll also be able to share that with the public. One of the technologies that we'll deliver is an app that'll be available to anyone that will help them find a real available space at any given time. So instead of them driving around trying to find a spot, they'll be actually to look on their phone and say there's 2 spaces on Common Street, and they'll be able to go there and find those spaces. So we're really trying to help solve the problem that I've heard from many during this process.
When it comes to the actual operation of the machines, so walk me through. You first park your car, walk to the kiosk, and then what do you do from there? Because I know how to park there and get out. So
Yeah.
from there, tell me.
Yes, sir, glad to do that. And I hope everyone received one of these packets. Okay, if you open that up, it'll help walk through. We intended to put it on the screen, but apparently the light bulb is burnt out in the projector, so best laid plans. So if you turn to the second page, we've provided multiple options, easy options for people to pay, and they can make their own preference in how they pay. Through the parking kiosk, they'll be able to use coins, credit card, smartphone, or their smartwatch, if they have one of those. I do not. Or if they choose, as a convenience, they can use a mobile payment app where they will walk up to a machine. We'll come back to this in a little bit. They'll be able to scan a QR code or text a code and make their payment that way. And then the final way would be to allow businesses in downtown, if they choose, to validate the parking for their customers. For example, if there's a restaurant that chooses to pick up the parking tab for folks at lunch or at dinner, they'll be able to do that through the system. So we wanted to give lots of options, and again, compliance. We're not looking to write a bunch of citations. We want to make it very easy for people to comply. If you turn to the next page, there's a picture there of what we call a multi-space parking kiosk, and these are solar powered and wireless. So basically on the installation, we just have a foundation and we bolt them down to the ground, so they go in very quickly. These machines are pay by plate. So everyone that pays for their parking will need to have their parking plate information entered into the system. Why that is a good thing, it's very accurate when it comes to enforcement. We make sure that we are citing the proper vehicle, we're matching up payments accordingly.
So very quick on that point, and that's what I wanted to get. So our community sometimes is in a lot of need in terms of an easy process to be able to be in compliance. And that could be sometime an issue when it comes to putting down your plate inside the machine. So there is any other option that is maybe a secondary options for them to pay that doesn't have to, each time that they put the plate down?
Yes, sir. If they choose to use the mobile payment using their phone, they'll be able to put in their plate one time and they'll never have to enter it again.
They're not using the mobile, they're gonna have to put the plate every time. If
Yes,
they
sir.
use the kiosk.
If they choose to use the kiosk, they will have to enter their license plate. And we also will have one phone number on all of the machines and the signage. If they do need help or can't use the machine, they can just call our call center and they will assist with a payment process for that customer.
And the call center is located locally or somewhere in the nation?
Actually, sir, call centers are all over the world. We have employees in 30 or 40 states now. anyone can work from home, and call centers is a common way of employment. So,
Right, you may go. You can.
okay. Just to walk you through the kiosk process real quick, there's some screenshots in here. And as I said before, you can enter your license plate information, and then you have to double check it and press OK. And then you select the amount of time that you would like to park. It was asked by Councilor Levy how much they could buy. A quarter for 15 minutes would be the lowest increment, but they could buy up increments from there. If they choose the mobile payment app, it will actually give you the courtesy of a reminder when your paid time is about to expire. And that way, if you're in a meeting or held up, you don't have to run back to your car or risk getting a citation. You'll be able to add time through the mobile app.
So right there, let me ask you one question, and that's basically what Anna was, she was trying to get to one point, and I'm gonna try another way to see if we can get to that point. So let's say perhaps that I actually work in City Hall, and I park on Exit Street, and I park right in front of any business that it needs the in and out business. And there is another college that park, right next to me or right in front or behind me. And we actually stay there for 8 hours, perhaps 10 hours, because that's the max that we can park. The whole intention of us having a parking meter is because we want the economic development portion. But at that point, we're not getting there because we have people parking for 12 hours, 10 hours for $12 a day. Down the street in the court, if you park on that meter, on that parking space, you're gonna be parking there the whole day, but I think it's $5 an hour or something like that. So essentially, we are not accomplishing what we really want if we allow people to park for the maximum amount of time that they want to. In Boston, perhaps, you cannot park for more than 2 hours. But if you go to Hampton Beach, you can, because it's different needs. Sure. But when it comes to economic development, and that's how I see this contract, this program, is to ensure that people are in and out from businesses, not staying for 8 or 10 hours because I work there, because it's convenient, I don't want to get out of my house, because I have the facility now to add more money through the app, so far, so on. And I got what you're saying, that it's gonna be up to us to put ordinance in place. But right now, we're putting a program in place that it take place, that we need to obey by, that is a binding program, that is legal. So if we add this time, that the maximum amount of time on any parking meter throughout this program have to be no max than 2 hours, we're not limiting it, the minimum. The minimum could be set up by us, but the maximum is set up by the contract. We will accomplish what we want, which is basically the in and out from different businesses, and avoid that complaint that we've all been getting, which is basically have those parking meters in place. The only difference that we're going to have, if we keep it the way we have it, the only difference that's going to happen now that people are paying, but still, we're still going to have the problem of people parking there for an extended amount of time and not allowing others to go in and out from different businesses. If I'll be a business owner on excess or any affected area on the contract, I'll be complaining, because those people are like, I have somebody parking in front of my business for 10 hours, and they are legally bound by the contract. So wouldn't make sense to actually have the 2-hour max, like other cities don't have it, not through an ordinance, but through the contract.
I would actually say no, sir. I would suggest, and I've worked with over 100 municipalities across the country of different sizes, is to implement the program and see the behavioral change. The two ways you control behavior is through cost, fees, and enforcement. And it really should remain with the city to dictate and be flexible in changing 1 hour, 2 hour, 30-minute, 15-minute zones. Now, our role will be to give you the information and to work with the local businesses. And our manager will be out walking and talking to the local businesses and trying to learn what the real needs are. So often we hear hyperbole. We hear one example, but that's really not the overall truth. So we need to be able to gather data. My experience, I've instituted going from free to paid before. You will see a dramatic difference in your streets without necessarily changing all the time limits up front. Now, eventually you may get there, but you'll get there with good information, and you'll better understand what's happening on the streets of the city. We'll actually be able to tell you how often cars, how frequently they're parking, how long they're staying. We'll be able to give you that data, and then you can make an informed decision.
No, and I definitely appreciate that you guys are going to be doing that, but there is one fact. That data that you're going to provide on a different way of analyzing it, I get it. But we have a data today that is telling us that if we don't put parking meter on different locations, we're going to continue with an issue, which is basically people parking there for 10, 12 hours. The only difference that we're going to be getting today with this contract, with not a maximum amount of time on it, is that people are going to have to pay for it, but still they're going to stay on that parking spot. So that it is. And by the way, we haven't had parking meters for only 3 years in the last. Only 2 years in the last 12 years. So we have had parkings for 10 years before these. So essentially, it's kind of like, difficult to get to understand how people are going to behave if we know for a fact that they stay there now because it's free, but if it only costs $10 for them to stay 10 hours or $5 for them to stay 5 hours, that might not be a big deal for a lot of people, and they're probably going to stay, but it will be a great deal for a business owner that is wanted to make a living. And it is, everything you're presenting to us, it's great, but I think that the 2 hour max per parking space, it will be essential as well. So I hope that my colleagues here seeing that, and I hope that the administration also seeing this foreseen situation. That it's not an unforeseen. We have seen it already. Thank you so much. Thank you, Council President.
In this order, we got Councilor Del Rosario, Councilor Lynette Rodriguez, Councilor Payano.
Thank you, Council President. First, I wanted to say thank you to the administration. That for the first time, this is my first time here at the City Council, but for the first time, I see the City Council actually debating or talking about a contract for parking. When I was seeing it, they were never allowed. The administration can actually sign a contract for 3 years, and we don't see it down here. So I want to thank the administration for at least giving us the opportunity to discuss this here, which to me is transparency. And another point that I want to bring is, and also in form of a question, is I'm assuming that putting the parking meters on the downtown area, it will free up our traffic control, which I'm assuming, if you guys can inform me of that, I'm assuming that we can enforce more now, because they don't have to worry about the downtown area, so we can send them to this dense area that might don't have the machine, and they can actually enforce more those areas, because we're going to have to free up our traffic controls. Is that something that you have in mind or not?
Absolutely. Once the program is implemented, so the meter area is going to be in control of PCI, and our traffic control employees are going to be, able to cover more areas outside downtown. So that's true.
That's all. Thank you very much.
Councilor Lynette Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President, to you. I would like to know, We talking about for 5-year contract or 3-year contract?
So we asking you for the okay to engage in a 5-year contract with PCI, yes.
If we approve 5-year contract, you have some projection when you cover the different area, for example, Broderick Street or Merrimack?
So as we told you before, so yes, we can increase the amount of spaces that we can cover. So we had to sit down with the company and renegotiate the contract.
Through the 5 year, you thinking in mind you cover different area after 1 year, after 2 years? What is the logistic about that?
So it depends. I know that the company has 90 days, that's what it says, so that to install those meters and start with the project. Let's see how that works, for a few months maybe, so we can definitely check and have the data and see what Giovanni is worried about, if it works, when people are able to stay for 10 hours parked in one spot. So that probably we can take that in consideration once we get the data. So I know part of the data is gonna tell us for how long a particular vehicle stay in one specific spot. I think that's gonna be something that we have to discuss once we get, the data from PCI.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Next is Counselor Payano.
Thank you. So a quick question, Director Jaime. How much does somebody pay to go to the garage, the Buckley garage? If they're spending an hour at the Buckley garage, how much do you spend?
I may have David to answer that question. He's the
I was at first gonna reach, but I was like, maybe, Director
yes,
Jaime
I
knows.
just want to be accurate.
David Rodriguez, Parking Supervisor. So you're looking for the hourly rate or you're looking for the monthly rate?
Hourly rate.
So the hourly is $2 an hour.
Okay. And what is the hourly rate for the parking spaces that are right in front of Tripoli's?
So we are uniform in all the parking garages
So it's
and the
$2
lots.
an hour?
Correct.
Everywhere, okay. All right, that was my question. Thank you, David. Director Jaime, could you tell me, is the not limiting it to 2 hours, is that something that we're getting from the folks that are bidding on this contract, or was that part of the initial RFP?
No, I'm sure before myself using the parking meters, I wanted to be able to use it for 3 hours, not like to be in a meeting here at City Hall and I had to run out because my 2 hours are expiring. So that's the reason why we don't want to limit, the timing for people to be able to stay for more than 2 hours. Let me tell you, myself, I used to come from the cemetery, right, to make some deposit here at City Hall. I used to use the parking meter sometimes when there was no space here. And if I were called for a meeting and I had to stay for more than 2 hours, a ticket was in my car. And I just do not want to be limited when I pay to park.
Okay, so I'm just trying to get an understanding. So it sounds like was this part of not limiting it to 2 hours was part of the RFP?
Yes, because we wanted to bring, technology that you are able to, to increase the amount of time that you're gonna stay if you need it. So if you need to stay for 30 more minutes, so you're able to add it just using the app, using, your smartwatch or whatever you have in hands, whatever they provide as technology to do that.
Right, I hear what you're saying, but it sounds like, I just wanted to make sure, it does not sound like, there seems to be a philosophical difference between keeping it a 2 hour limit and extending it to whatever hours it would be. If the, and that's why I was trying to figure out if this was coming from the company or if it was coming from the city. It sounds like it's coming from the city. So it sounds like what we're hearing from yourself, the city's perspective is that you should be allowed to park however long you want. I am not arguing differently, right? I'm just trying to understand what the logic behind that. And my reasoning for it is that no matter what data is being presented by the company, I don't know what data could be presented if the philosophical view is that you should be allowed to park for 3 hours, as you said.
Yeah, if you look at all the proposals that the company sent to us, none of them are, limited to the amount of hours that you are allowed to park in one spot. All of them are open to just pay and stay more time.
But Director Jaime, I guess my initial question is, was that part of the RFP?
That was part of the RFP.
Okay, yeah, so these companies aren't limiting it to 2 hours because we, in our initial request, we were saying we didn't want it to be limited to 2 hours.
Correct.
Okay. All right, no, that's fine. I think I have a different view when it comes to that. I mean, I'll be honest, if it was up to me, if I'm looking at my own personal preference, I would want it free, right? I would want to be able to park wherever I want to park in. That's my own personal preference. But, I think we're here to discuss, like, why would we want, meters? These meters are not there just because we want more money. I don't think they're there. I mean, I think that's an added somewhat benefit, but it's not like we're trying to squeeze people for more dollars. I think that they were put in place there to begin with to try to change habits and try to have certain areas be have people flow, come into, park there for a certain amount of time, and then leave. I think if somebody wants to stay for 3 hours, especially in the downtown, not so much Broadway, but I mean, most of the Broadway that we picked, there's no need for parking, right? Like, so South Broadway, you can easily find parking anywhere else. It's only that small portion of Broadway that is actually needed. The other side of Broadway, we're not including, I think maybe that'd be a different story, but it's only that section. Outside of that section, everywhere else there's parking garages. So if you want to last for longer than 2 hours, you can go into one of those parking garages and go in there. What I'm hearing is that it is like basically the people that will end up, why would we go to the parking garage and pay $2 an hour when they can park in the street for the entire day and pay $1? Have you guys thought about how that would affect the folks coming into the garages?
So, so using the garages, right now, if you go to Buckley Garage, probably it's full right now because all these apartments that are, growing in downtown, they have rented a space for their tenants right now. So basically, right now, just an example, Museum Square is completely full. We just have a few spots for the users that go to the courthouse. So our lots are completely full right now. So if you come around the corner, so if you go, let's say Buckley again, our employees are paying $25, to stay in that garage. Right now, they just park in front of City Hall because we don't have enforcement right now. So for how long I had to go and stay in a restaurant? Let's say I go to one of the busiest restaurants in downtown. Probably it's gonna take more than 2 hours to, then to serve the food. Then I had to walk out and jump in my car and move it like 2 blocks away or maybe one spot farther just because I cannot stay for more than 2 hours in one spot. We do not want limited people or our residents to just 2 hours right now. So as it was told by Jack, I think just the matter that we put the meters there is gonna move. It's gonna move the cars around the downtown area. I'm pretty confident of that, and we can come in front of you with that proof after we install the meters.
I'm sure. I think you are right. I think it's going to move some cars, and I think there are other people that are just going to pay the $8 a day and stay there. I hear you. Like I'm not here to. I'm not trying to argue. I'm just trying to figure out where it is that you guys are coming from. I think I understand. I disagree, but I understand where you guys are coming from there, and I hope. I'm hoping that I'm wrong, and that, because it does not sound, I think the initial presentation, it sounded like we might get, which sounds exciting there, we get all this data, and then there are certain zones which we say is 30 minutes, and certain zones where we say it's 4 hours. That doesn't seem like it's the case, and that's not what we are essentially trying to do. So it's awesome that we're going to get this data. I don't know, it doesn't sound like we'll use it for anything, but I think it's great, because maybe that'll help determine other things. And that's fine. My other question is around, well, as far as the timeline, so for example, on Merrimack Street, what do you think would be the timeline to add that street to a future contract? Are we looking like 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now?
So I cannot wait to see the ones that we're installing now to start adding more in those areas. So I'm here in front of you, and I'm telling you, so once we see the program goes, we're gonna continue expanding those areas that are in need. I'm pretty sure that when we install the meters in these areas, so cars are gonna go, farther away, and we have to continue, and we're gonna have those requests from you, and we're gonna be more than happy to come and work with you to add more. But again, it's not just to give citation, it's to help people to comply. That's the main intention here. So help people to comply. We are here, and we got a promise of this company to educate our community. So we have explained to them how difficult it is for our people to understand, and they're gonna be, working those 90 days, putting the information out, so informing the public how to use the meters, putting videos out, using all, the ways that we can find to inform our people. We're not gonna let them to just come over here and hit our residents. We're gonna have them, to comply with us, and we're gonna be watching pretty close.
Right. So do we have an idea of like when we would think we'd be able to add these?
Well, once the contract is, fully executed, that's when the purchasing agent says that we can increase or decrease after we sit down with the vendors and negotiate that contract. So right now, we are just asking for the okay to engage in a 5-year contract. So we're gonna sit down and put those little details there.
When do you think that the contract, if this?
So
if it
Janelle,
passes-
I'm pretty sure Janelle is working on that right now. So you already have it because it's in the RFP. So the draft of the contract, we just need.
Thank you. That wasn't going to be my question.
Okay.
But thank you. I know that we didn't see a contract at the last meeting. I think there was an attempt to make it be today. I didn't think at the time that was a suitable time to write up a contract. It takes a bit to do, so I understand. I read the RFP. My question is, when do you think, if we go on this today, when do you think it will be executed?
So
I would imagine probably within 30 days. I mean, it's just between the city signs that we have to get our signatures, and then the same thing with the contract with the PCI.
Great, thank you. All right, so 30 days from now, at what point would you be engaging, or should counselors start having a conversation with you? I'm just trying to figure out a timeline to engage in discussions about adding, let's say, Merrimack Street.
So we can work immediately on that. It's your request. Or we're not gonna just, receive your request and not act about that. So we definitely gonna work on that immediately.
Okay, so it sounds like within 30, once this contract, so 30 days from now, you guys are gonna be engaging in conversation, and hopefully like a few months later, you'll be coming back to us to add those, to add that street in
I'll
there.
be happy to come in front of you again.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
Counselor Levy, then Counselor Infante.
Thank you, Council President. My question is regarding the calling center. If someone have a trouble in getting some problems, with the machine, and they call the calling center, how long it's gonna take for them to get somebody to answer the phone? Or the phone is gonna start sending to you, oh, so you want it, because you didn't pay the full amount, just call number 1 or push number 1. And then they send it to you to number 3, and you spend, I don't know how long, just getting somebody to respond to you, and at the end, we hang out the phone.
Great question. The average pickup time is under 30 seconds.
English or Spanish? They're gonna ask you, so you want it?
Both.
Both.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Counselor Infante.
Thank you. I want to go back to the statement that was made about how this company hasn't done business in Massachusetts yet. What would be the closest town in another state that you do business in that we can look into?
Before that, Counselor, I would like to add, so after the committee that was, we had Mark Ayanello in the committee, myself, David Rodriguez, and the chief of staff from the mayor's office. After we selected, the company, Genevieve and David, made some research about the company. They called the municipalities that they are working right now, and if you want, I can bring David to see, you can hear from himself what the answer was. We were very careful, in order to bring a good customer service to our community, a company that is able to provide us with the answers, because we had experience before that it was very hard to reach, the managers from the company that we had before, and we learned from that process. That's why we took it seriously, and we did some research, and we can say in front of them. So I think David himself can tell you a little bit about the experience, calling those municipalities to learn a little bit about PCI.
So myself and Genevieve called all their references. I was kind of shocked because we spoke to, I think it was 3 different ones, and they all had nothing but.
Can you state the names of the communities that you called?
So I think one of them was in Kentucky and California. I'm not sure about the other one, but when we called them, we were shocked, because usually you'll get some, yeah, maybe not good, or most of them had really good references, and the main part was that they were hands-on. Any issue with the municipalities, they would attend to it right away.
Thank you.
And we didn't hear anything bad, anything negative, which, I've done these before, and usually there's some negativity, but there was absolutely no negativity.
Thank you, David.
Please stop you right there for 1 second, Counselor. I'm looking for a motion to go past. So moved.
Second.
Made by Counselor Payano, seconded by Counselor Rodriguez. All in favor say aye.
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 No. The ayes have it. Counselor Infante?
Thank you, Council President. So that leads me into my second question now. This isn't as big as like the trash, issue that we have, but because of the trash issues we had and the contract issues that we recently had with that company, it's making me think of contracts a little bit differently, I suppose. For the city, I just want to make sure that when these contract negotiations occur, that we make clear like what the expectation is or the consequences if the company does not hold their part of the contract. That's a question, a concern that through the trash issue, I'm seeing constituents say over and over, whether they're calling me and saying it on social media. So I just want to make sure that that is clear, transparent, and that each party knows what to expect if either or doesn't hold, their part of the contract.
I agree, Councilor, I agree,
Thank you.
100%.
And my last question might be for Mr. Iannello, through you, Mr. Chair. Do we have a number of how much revenue the parking meters brought to the city in previous years?
Yeah, I believe the last guaranteed payment was approximately, it's either $525 or $575 per year.
Thank you.
This contract calls for a larger number.
Thank you. That is all.
We're going to look to wrap up pretty soon here. Councilor Rodriguez, and then I know that the Vice President's got a comment, so go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Council President. I have a few questions. Have you guys thought about the 2 hours? Obviously, Councilor Payano asked you about the decision whether or not that was the company or the city. It sounds like the city made the determination whether or not they want to go with the 2 hours or the limited amount or the maximum amount of time. But have you guys thought about the different options, perhaps? Having the 2 hour max and an option of an extra hour in case that they go over that hour? Or you guys say no limits, that's the way we're going?
So no limits is the way that all municipalities that have parking meters are going with. So, but again,
What do you say? No limits?
No limits, yes. So you go to Boston, to the stadium, you park in a metered area, so you can add time. You are not limited to 2 hours or 1 hour. So
there is limit on other municipalities.
there was limit here, and it was an issue before, I remember. So it was an issue for myself, and I know it was an issue for yourself when you used to come to visit downtown. But again, so ordinances are created by you. So if you create an ordinance to limit the hours in the meter area, so it's gonna be up to you, councilors.
No, because the thing is like when you create an ordinance, you're not looking forward to either benefit or not benefit a contract. You're looking forward for the needs of that specific area. So as a legislator on this body, I'm not looking forward to just adopt an ordinance because of contractual purposes. That's not the way it works. I mean, but I mean, we're looking forward to see if you guys think about the different options. Because what I'm seeing here is like what Councilor Payano just voiced out, that people parking people that are going to different private parkings or are going to parkings that are owned by the city throughout the downtown area. Is that the heater? Throughout the downtown area, they now probably gonna go to the street because it's gonna be 50% reduction in price. 50% is 50%. So instead of being $16 that they pay for 8 hours on a parking lot that the city owns, so they now gonna go right in front of that parking and fill those streets with an hour, $1 per hour parking instead of staying on the parking lots. That's kind of like, it is completely opposite of what we want. So I just want to make sure that we thought about these different options. If we have 200 cars parking on those seven parking lots that we have owned by the city and private around the downtown area, and the city is now offering a 50% reduction, they're probably going to go to the street and park and pay for those 8 hours, 10 hours straight. So it could become an issue right away. So, but I mean, I understand we're going to wait for the data, but I mean, if you look at the concept, it can be an issue.
Councilor, thank you for bringing it up. I would like the Council President just to inform the Council that pretty soon we have hired a consultant to look at the different parking lots within the city. Soon they will come before you as well to look at both city-owned properties as well as private parking spaces, primarily in the downtown area. This not only to accommodate further development that we anticipate. There's a list of 27 projects, which is a combination of mixed-use development, residential, commercial, but also the same situation that we're going to go through again during this winter, that our streets are narrow, that we need to clear, and there's going to be also also changes if the laws change, in which we would have more cars coming to the city. So we're already anticipating, and the consultant is planning to, we're planning for the council to do a presentation before you as well. So this would be in addition to whatever parking accommodations that we're doing. We need to look towards the future, and parking is an issue for us, and it will consider some of your questions that you do have. And I hope by then we can bring further clarity to the council as a whole.
All right, thank you. Through you, Council President, I just want to know from the legal perspective, do we have the ability to change that a specific section of the contract in case that we need to do it eventually once we have the data?
Absolutely, yes, yes.
That's built in within the contract?
Yes, once the contract is fully executed, all the contracts, you can increase it for 20%. So
No, I mean the timing, the time restriction. I mean there is a restriction.
we can work it out with the contract too.
We just want to make sure that if we approve in a 5-year contract, we're not stuck and with only one way, and that's it.
So the city reserve, the right to renegotiate the contract at any time.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you so much. I think our final counselor will be the Vice President. Council Vice President?
Thank you, Council President. Director Jaime, I'm going to ask a question and I'm going to answer. I don't want you to repeat yourself because all the question is being asked. So what you were saying about the downtown, you're going to remove all the sign, just replace it with the meter, right? So that was the yes or no? Just yes, right?
Yes.
Just the 15 minutes sign that has been putting up, but through the ordinance is going to be removed,
Yes.
right? In those streets that has been removed from the contract now, is going to be monitored by the parking division, so meaning that they're going to be monitoring those areas. So they're going to free out, they're going to have more ability to go to those business. And as you said from the beginnings, by the demand of the businesses, is how you're going to be adding or implementing more streets. Yes.
You're right, yes.
So thank you for taking the time to putting this together and listening to the struggle that all the downtown business has been going for years. And hopefully this can happen and pass as soon as we can start. I'm assuming that if this is going to pass, and I encourage all my colleagues to go forward. So this is going to be like, how long this is going to take? Like 30 days? Is that the deadline?
So once they order, the meters, is going to take 90 days to receive them.
So I can start tomorrow and go to the business and say that, yes, finally,
Once
this
they
is going
sign
to
the
happen.
contract, they had to bring us meters in 90 days.
So that's going to happen. Thank you. And I hope this has happened before 90 days.
Okay, councilors, we've really exhausted this conversation. I'd like to, Council, we got to make this quick. We have other important stuff going on this evening as well.
So,
Quickly, please.
Director Jaime, the traffic ticketing management, that's going to be done by the company or by the city?
So the areas that are gonna have meters they're gonna handle that. We're gonna be out of that area.
And in terms of the when somebody have a dispute, who's going to handle that?
Council, are you referring to a parking citation they dispute? Okay. So they'll be able to file a formal appeal online or come to the office, which will be downstairs in this building, and fill out a form. and then we'll do a couple of layers of review. First of all, our parking manager will check it just to make sure everything was done according to the rules and policies. And if they object above that, I believe David hears all appeals after that point.
The city will do the hearing. The city is going to be part of the hearing.
Yes, sir.
Fine.
Okay. I think unless there was an unfactual answer, I think we're going to go.
So
Is that properly represented? Is that the right answer? Do you agree with the
Yes,
answer?
if they can't settle it downstairs, I represent the city and represent the constituents or whoever has the dispute and have the final decision on if it's fair or unfair, or if it's, a legal ticket or an illegal ticket.
Counselors, it is time for us to take a vote. At this point,
Motion to approve.
we already have a motion on the floor.
Second.
We already have a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. It's unanimous, the ayes have it. I don't believe there is a requirement for a contract that we need to have it. You can call for a roll call vote if you would like. There is a request for a roll call vote, which would be in order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Infante.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counsel Vice President Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor Dela Cruz is absent. Counselor Levy.
Yes.
Council President.
Yes, the motion carries.
Thank you, councilors.
I just wanted the counselors to know that Councilor De La Cruz is not going to be with us for the rest of this evening. She is under the weather, and like a trooper, she did stay for a good portion of that, and so I'm very thankful for her that she was able to stick as long as she did. So if she's watching, I just want to make sure she understands how appreciative we are that she was able to stick through as long as she did. The next item, Mr. Chairman, is document number 32422. Mr. Chairman.
Council President, the Budget and Finance Committee met, and we voted to unanimously send with a favorable recommendation, item 324-22, and I present that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded by the Vice President. Discussion? No discussion on this matter. Is there?
How much money we're talking about? How much money we're talking about?
There's a Rodriguez?
It's $1 million.
It's $1 million. Can we, I wasn't part of that meeting, can we talk about the details as of how the money is going to return back to the city?
Yes, so our plan to reimburse the city is to get Senator Feingold to work on the $2 million bond that was allocated for this project. It was allocated for the City of Lawrence and Northern Essex Community College, who we are working in partnership with. But Senator Feingold wants us to do this initial phase, which is the $1 million worth of work, to stabilize the building. It's in great disrepair. And while we're working on the overall funding, which is $18 million, which is mostly in tax credits.
At this point, could you identify
Oh, my name is Richard DeRosas. I'm the president of Paramount Development. For those of you who don't know me, I've done Blakely Building, $50 million project downtown, Sacred Heart, I think it was a $14 million senior housing project, and the expansion of Lawrence Family Development Charter School, which was St. Anne's School and convent building. They were going to build on the playground. I suggested that they, a 20,000 square foot building, I suggested that they renovate the 80,000 square feet that we had, add 100 parking spaces to save their playground, and it was all for the same budget of $7.4 million. And they also added on a gymnasium. So those are three projects I've done in the city.
So can you explain a little more as of how the money is going to get back to the Lawrence? Can you go a little further on that?
Yeah, so our funding consists mostly of tax credits. If we did not get the allocation that was from the state of the $2 million, if that was never released, then the money would be paid back from the tax credits that we receive.
All right, I have no more questions.
Councilor Del Rosario?
Thank you, Council President. After you were here and we all voted to bring it up with a favorable recommendation, I did my due diligence, and And there's a few fees that this infrastructure actually own the city. Are we going to add those fees for cleaning? It's been for years, and are we going to add what you owe for cleaning? We've been cleaning it, the DPW has been cleaning it. Are we going to add to the $1 million, or how that debt that you have with the city is going to be paid for? I mean, all the work that has been done by cleaning it and maintaining the place clean.
Well, for those councils who are not familiar with the homeless problem we have in the city, my building has become a de facto homeless shelter. Most of the homeless people, there are many, 10, 20, I don't know how many, they camp out at the building. And as much as I complain about it, there's not much the police can do. They run them off, they come back, they break into the building, they drag all their trash over. We recently did some landscaping at the request of the mayor. It's very dangerous. They filled up a bucket, 5-gallon bucket full of needles, drug needles, so it's dangerous landscaping work. Luckily, the workers were careful. Nobody was stuck with any of the needles, but I'm sure there's probably another 100 needles that are, spread throughout the property that they didn't find. It's a, dangerous situation.
But my question is, how are we going to take care of that debt? Is the city going to eat it due to the fact that we're going to invest in this project? Or how are we going to take care of that? Because that is there sitting. If the city or anybody move forward with this, this infrastructure can have a lien holder on it, and you can't move on it with it.
We'll pay for these cleaning costs, even though it's from the homeless population that I was told was my responsibility by city officials over the years, over the last 15 years. But we'll pay for that. And, the benefit of us, I guess, of paying for it is it's mostly federal money. So, and it's based on the size of the project. So I guess the federal government will be making a contribution towards cleaning.
Councilor Infante?
Thank you. I'm looking here at the, what is this called? Project summary. It's late. At the project summary, and I see at the end that this project will be securing historic and new market tax credits. Now, are these tax credits going to Paramount Development, or will this be going to the City of Lawrence?
No, the tax credits will not be going to the City of Lawrence. What we're working on is, and we're working with the city attorney and with Northern Essex. In fact, Northern Essex, Lane Glenn, the president, and other Northern Essex officials, along with the city attorney, are crafting an agreement. It's going to be a nonprofit on one side that has 51% control of this project. The developer, myself, will have 49% control of the project, and we will form a limited partnership. So this nonprofit entity will have control of the project, and they'll help with fundraising and things like that. I've already devised the plan. I'm acting as the developer, and we'll work together to move the project forward.
Thank you. How much are you, again, can you repeat, are you looking to get from the city? What was the number again?
I was looking for 1.4 million, but 1 million is available from the city.
Okay, and this will be in a form of a loan?
Yes.
Okay. Are we, Advisor Spanner, through you, Mr. Chair,
Oh, sorry.
is this loan, the repayment, how is this being worded? Are we including like interest rates and the repayment? I want to make sure that the city gets this money back.
Yes, well, first of all, if I may, to answer Councilor De Rosario, the answer is yes. The mayor made it clear that all cleaning expenses and other fees that are pending should be covered first. It should be paid first. In terms of the mayor indicated that he is in favor of this facility to become a performing arts and that it should be in the form of a loan, that it will be paid back at the end of the project. There has been discussions and recently that we had with Northern Essex Community College because they were interested. They were the ones that basically did a feasibility study of this property and had the idea of make this building available as a performing arts. There was $2 million that were made available through some urban development grant. We also met, the mayor also met with myself and Senator Barry Feingold to inquire if he was still available to support this project, in which he indicated yes, as long as Northern Essex and a nonprofit organization would be involved in this process. To clarify a little better with what Mr. DeRosa mentioned, you cannot obtain tax credits without the involvement of investors. Tax credits are given usually as a way, as an incentive for development and also economic development and workforce development. And in order for this to work, we have sat down with the city attorney and strategized together with Northern Essex Community College to form, as Mr. Richard DeRosa mentioned, a partnership that would involve an entity in which Northern Essex would be directly involved in selecting a group of other nonprofit partners and bring them into this entity that would be working in partnership with the developer. But the decision-making process would be directly, would be a some sort of limited liability partnership in which the nonprofit entity or organization would have decision-making authority, and the developer would be the silent partner, which would bring in the money, as well as the money in the form of tax credits. And at the end of this project, the property would be transferred, ownership would be transferred to the nonprofit entity.
Thank you. In that agreement, I would like to see clearly and transparently the terms of the repayment of the $1 million.
Yes, definitely. That would be brought before you as well for approval.
Okay, thank you. My last question, Council President, through you, is for Mr. Iannello. Okay, Mr. Iannello, okay, this is coming out of ARPA funds. How much money do we have in our ARPA funds right now?
This money's coming from the General Stabilization Fund, not ARPA. All our ARPA money is being converted into free cash.
So how much money is that?
So in the stabilization, I do have it here somewhere. Stabilization, we have, we started with 4.2, and I believe after this 1 million transfer, we'll have 2.2 million remaining.
Thank you.
No more questions. So there is a motion on the floor, and it has been properly seconded. No further discussion on this matter. My only question that I have is I'm not seeing the final structure. The 2020 report is riddled with ownership questions. Nothing in this document that I can see, at least, talks about in this book that I have, has the ownership discussions in it. There is no breakdown of the LLC, LLPs that has been discussed here a little bit. Nothing in writing that I can see. I'm wondering if it's in there. I haven't seen it yet.
No, it's not in there.
The other questions that I have were with regarding, Is this modeled after any other art building anywhere else in the country? How are they managing it? Are we managing this? When I say we, are we as a city managing it? Do we have the capacity to manage this? Is that LLP, is that other entity already been structured? Is there a collateral with respect to this money? How do we know that our money, when I say our money, the city's money, is safeguarded? We talked about tax credits at the city council, at the budget committee. What assurances that those tax credits are going to bear fruit and we will receive those or whoever it is, the applicants are going to get those tax credits. We talked about both historic tax credit. What are the conditions associated with historic, the new tax credits? We've seen that there was, I think the chairman was asking lots of questions at the Budget and Finance Committee with respect to that. There's a lot of questions here.
Maybe I could answer some of them now.
I would like to hear that. I mean, I like where we're going with this. I like the idea. There's these questions that are there.
Yes, yes. Well, let's start with the tax credits. This project is approved for a Part 2 approval under the National Park Service. There are 3 parts to receiving your tax credits. It's a federal program, so it's automatic, it's unlimited. We could receive $100 million. There's no limit to it. What the limit is, well, there is one limit. It's 20% of the overall cost of the project. So in this case, it would be 20% of our approximately $18 million would be available in federal historic credits, and it's automatic. I have a Part 2 approval, so that means I've already discussed the scope of work with the National Park Service. They know what I'm doing. At the completion of construction, they'll inspect the building. They'll issue me a Part 3 as long as I follow their guidelines, and then I'm allowed to place the building on the National Historical Register, and the investors will be able to take their tax write-off. There's also a state program for state historic credits. That's also the same. It's 20%. That's issued by Mass Historic and Secretary Galvin's office. We feel this is a project that the state would be very interested in. They've already given us $2 million, and it's a very, very important project for the city. So we feel the state would also grant us a 20% tax credit. That one's not automatic. It has to be granted by them. They have to approve it.
So a portion, you mentioned the word automatic times, and then the last tax credit you mentioned. And the question, what happens if that is denied, if there's not, and then what else do we have besides, I realize you're vouching for this, but you're talking to 9 people who may not be completely familiar with the tax credit program, and so do you have anything written? Do we have anybody in administration who's on our side on this? When I say our side, that's got the same interest as we do, which is to protect the taxpayers' funding on this issue, that can actually vouch for the validity of that comment.
There's going to be contingency. In our conversations with the city attorney, what we're asking basically is to have the property stabilized. We are concerned that this property, which has the historical value for the city, can be further deteriorated because of the weather, especially during winter time. The understanding, and what we have spoken with the city attorney, is to make sure that we're not giving away $1 million and then without it being repaid. So considerations will be given to having the property held as asset. Also, the funds, the $2 million that is made available to the state, once it's released, the first thing that is going to happen is that the money, the $1 million will be repaid. In terms of the nonprofit organization, Northern Essex Community College will work with other entities that do have the expertise and competency within the area of performing arts. So it's, obviously, the city would also be involved in the process, but the mayor wanted to make sure that once that this $1 million that would be given to stabilize the property, funding would be returned immediately after the $2 million would be released from the state.
You also mentioned that, in my final question would be, you've mentioned the city attorney is drafting some sort of agreement or some sort of documents that can provide assurances that this money is safeguarded, and that the taxpayers do have that safeguard. When can we expect that document so we can actually review it? Would it be in our best interest as a city to wait, and maybe as decision makers, wouldn't it be in our best interest to wait to get that before we actually take a final vote that says, yeah, we're going to go ahead with the $1 million? And when, by the way, do we even know what the collateral costs are? Have there been any assessments done by our city assessor to figure out what the net worth of that? So if they do default, how much money do we have? How much can we go back on? I don't have that number. There's no numbers in this document that provide that kind of comfort. So I'm just curious as to how, I think there's a lot of questions that are outstanding.
Yes, those are the contingencies that I've mentioned earlier. The mayor would not sign any document until all the legal questions would be are answered, and we cross all our T's and dot all the I's. Our concern, and the major concern for the mayor, is that if we wait too long, this property is going to further deteriorate, and it's also imposing a health hazard and a safety hazard to the community. We already had that in the past, and what we would like to do is look at this property stable, and we have in our conversation with the developer, with Mr. Rich DeRosas, is that we want to make sure that the timeline is clear. Usually tax credits take a long process. That means that the developer within this partnership would have to also provide the assurances of who the accountant, because usually developers work with accountant on tax credits to make sure that that there's an individual, a reputable organizations, because our entity with experience in tax credits, and those need to, that company would be mentioned also in the document in securing those tax credits. But for now, the administration, and in our conversations that we had with both Northern Essex as well as the developer, we would like those $2 million be released that the state has on urban development and youth, and that funding would be the ones that would be paying the debt of the property. I mean, of the $1 million that the city would make available to stabilize the property.
Councilor, so it appears that there can be some missing points, but if there's no further questions, there is a motion. There is a motion on the floor already. So at this point, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Have a roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Motion. Thank you. This is Housing Committee. Mr. Chairman?
The Housing Committee met and discussed item 310, surplus declaration for 13 Boulder Street. I would like to make this I would like to actually present this to the council and as well a motion to table.
So,
So let's, one motion at a time. There's a committee report, I believe, is it a committee report or favorable, and then we can just have it there in the motion to table afterwards? What's your motion? How did it come out of committee?
It was out to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Let's make that motion. Motion's been made, it's a favorable recommendation. Is there a second?
second.
Second by Council Del Rosario. Now, is there a motion to table?
Motion to table.
Motion to
Second.
table made by the chairman, seconded by Council Del Rosario. Discussion on the motion to table. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Counselor?
President, but I mean, I was supposed to make the motion.
Did you you made the motion?
Yeah, but there was motion to table, not to accept it. We're not accepting as a committee report or anything like that. The motion to table straight. But that's fine. We're moving. 31722, we met and discussed this item. Is the declaration of surplus of 262 East Haber Street, Unit 12. I would like to make a motion to table.
The motion to table, document 31722. That came out of the committee. Motion's been made and second. It's a little awkward, but all right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Document 318.
Yeah. Uh, 31822, declaration of surplus of 33 and 35 Alma Street. Was sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation. I'm gonna make a motion to table.
Motion made by the chairman and seconded by Councilor Payano. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Document number 319.
31922 is the disposition of real estate under the yard sale program for the city of Lawrence of 8 Bradford Street. It was sent out as a committee report, and I make that as a form of a motion.
Motion as a committee report has been made. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Payano. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
I'd like to make a motion to table.
Motion to table document 319 has been made. Who seconded it? Seconded by Mr. Payano. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Any other table matters? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any other table matters? We're going right to new business.
Mr. President, Mr. President.
Councilor Levy.
Okay, just only I got a notice right now that's item 322 that it was sent by the mayor they want to keep a table.
Yes, right. It is tabled. It'll remain there. That's good. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Ms. Levy. So the next thing is new business. 2722 handicap parking at 333 Havel Street, ordinance. 32822 15-minute parking, 379 Hampshire Street. Souza Multi-Service Corporation, Orlando Batista and Councilor Del Rosario. That is going to the Ordinance Committee. Document 32922, trash pickup issues within the city of Lawrence. Councilor Rodriguez, Councilor Selena Reyes, Councilor Levy, Committee on the Whole. Document 33022, traffic study review, Jackson Street, corner of Park Street, Vice President Reyes is going to the Ordinance Committee. Document 331, adopt a park, Roberto Clemente Boulevard, small square next to O'Neill Park, Lawrence Street, Vice President Stella Reyes, Leader Frank Moran, and Jose Davia is going to the Ordinance Committee. Document 33222, parking permits, 163 Lawrence Street, Supermass Grocery, LLC, is going to the Ordinance Committee. 33322, handicap parking, 14 Lee Street, is going to the Ordinance Committee. 33422, handicap parking, 83 Bradford Street, Ordinance Committee. Document 33622, City Charter 511 School Committee, put on by Jonathan Guzman, Vice Chair of the School Committee. That is going to the Ordinance Committee, and the reason for that is that's looking to change the charter. I would recommend at the Ordinance Committee that they send that to the mayor who's currently reviewing the charter recommendations. Just a recommendation. Document 33722, disclosure by,
Council President, is there language that is attached with that?
there is language, there's a letter attached to it.
But is there language, like what they want to change the charters to?
There is language inside there, you have to dig in a little bit to get what they're looking for, but there is language in there. It doesn't come right out and say it, but there is language in there. Document 33722, disclosure by municipal employee, Donna Macklin Rivera is going to the Ordinance Committee. Document 33822, water and sewer rate adjustment. William Hill, acting Water and Sewer Commissioner, is going to Budget and Finance Committee. Document 33922, appointment of Alfonso Garcia as Director of Inspectional Services, is going to the Personnel Committee. Document 34022, disclosure by municipal employee Elisa Coco, is going to the Ordinance Committee. 34122, National Guard Cypress Ave, Ordinance Committee. 34222, National Grid Essex Street, Ordinance Committee. 34322, removal of a thoroughway prohibition. Councilor Payano and Councilor Infante is going to the Ordinance Committee. Document 34422, recommended salary updates, mayor and city council members. That is going to the Ordinance Committee. 34522, amendment of non-union classified ordinance plan. Ordinance 2.160.040 is going to the Ordinance Committee. 34622, request to post, advertise, and fill position of payroll supervisor, is going to the Ordinance Committee. Document 34722, order to expend grant funds. Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development and Mass Works Infrastructure Program of $700,000 is going to the Budget and Finance Committee. Document 34822, stop sign at Andover and Amherst Streets, Councilor Infante, is going to Ordinance. Document 34922, stop sign at Andover and Clifton Street by Councilor Infante, is going to Ordinance. Document 35022, we'll get to that in a second. We've already dealt with 35122. Councilors, the night is late.
Next Tuesday, ordinance.
What is going to Ordinance? 35022, councilors. I was hoping, even at this late hour, that we could go briefly into executive session, just to have a very brief conversation about what we have before us, so that when we do bring Attorney Body to our meeting a week from Tuesday, our next city council meeting, that we would be a little further along than we are now. And I think that would be useful. I realize the hour's late tonight. If there is appetite here, I'd like to do that. It was a late file, but we've already approved the late file. So that's the request.
Council President, I don't know if there's appetite in the room.
Okay.
I have appetite, but for pizza or something.
So councilors, this will have to go before the Personnel Committee, and I get that, but we're gonna have to bring it before the full council anyway, and still have the discussion at the full council level. So this is gonna be going to the Personnel Committee, and rather than keeping it up here at the full council level. Unless we suspend the rules to leave it up here at the full council level, I'll entertain that. There's no motion to suspend the rule and keep it at the full council level? Okay.
Question, Council President. I'm
Yes,
still
sir.
trying to wrap my, so you're saying that this is going to go to personnel? Oh, it could, it's not? Okay. So, all right, so you're planning on sending this to the personnel, and are you planning on, is the discussion happening at personnel? Or are you just looking for personnel just to send it right back up?
Well, at this point, because I think we're gonna have to all meet about it anyway, and get all the information anyway, I'm just hopeful that the Personnel Committee can just send it right back up to the full council.
So it sounds, so it's pointless to send it to the full council, so I'd like to make a motion that to suspend the rules, so that way you can keep it here.
There's a motion, we have a debate, there's a motion to suspend the rules and keep it here at this level.
Second, and I
Motion's been made, it's been seconded. Discussion? Councilor Rodriguez.
and Council President?
The chair just left. We certainly, that is a possibility, which would mean all of us would have to come for another meeting. I'm not sure there's appetite for that. Councilor Infante?
I think I just want to clarify Councilor Payano's motion. Suspend the rules to send it to a committee, keep it here, right? So it'll be the same thing. We're still sending it to a committee when we're just trying to keep it going.
I mean, if we think about it, what happened with the last contract? I was glad that I wasn't here.
Okay.
We're gonna go through the same
Anyways.
experience. You guys got.
Let's just vote.
You know what I mean?
All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. We'll suspend it. It's going to stay here under old business. Now I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So
Wait, before we do so, committee meetings. Thank you. Ordinance committee,
I think the
Tuesday, Tuesday, right?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
At 7.
Budget and finance,
9 a.m., just kidding. 7 p.m. on Wednesday.
7 a.m.
Hey, I'll do it 7 a.m. You can't do 7 p.m. on Wednesday? I'm sorry, Council President, one moment.
For the next 2 weeks, or the next 3 weeks, I won't be able to meet on Wednesday.
You're not able, okay, so let's look at another day. Can you meet on Thursday of next week?
Do Thursdays.
Okay.
But I mean, it's up to the other members.
So
I
Thursday.
can do any other day.
I'm looking at the other members. Thursday, 7. Budget and Finance. Thursday. Yeah, I understand. I'm asking, are you available on Thursday?
Okay.
Thursday, 7 p.m.?
Thursday at 7 p.m., budget and finance. Tuesday at 7 p.m., ordinance. Housing committee? I don't think you got anything,
We
did
have,
you?
we have no
I don't
business.
think you have anything. And I think there's some budget stuff. I mean, do we have a person, we have one personnel item. We have the Alfonso Garcia personnel item, ISD item.
Councilor Payano.
Okay. ISD director is document number 33922. That's the one that if we don't act within 30 days is automatically approved.
Okay. Counselors, are you available 6 p.m. on Thursday?
If
Well,
we,
the other two. Yeah, I'm trying to avoid two nights, but if you're not available on Thursday, then Wednesday, 7 p.m.
Public safety, we already have a public safety committee. I think you signed that a couple weeks ago, right? All right, so just so we're clear, we went all over the place.
Committee of the whole?
I can't, it's on hold until the chair comes back, so I don't know. She will poll the members and see when we're available. I think we're all set now. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Selena Reyes, seconded by Councilor Anna Levy. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it.